But we start Royals baseball.
We do.
It's opening day for the Kansas City Royals. They're coming off a win. That's a positive. And I think that we always overreact. David Lesky and I did our Kaufman Corner podcast last night, and that was the title, Let's Overreact to the First Series. And that's what we always do in baseball. It's a long season. There's a long way to go. A lot to get to. Mm-hmm. And still no reason to panic.
Still 159 left.
But people still love to freak out. And let's start with let's start with a little Matt Quatraro, because I think the biggest thing going on, even though they just won, it's early in the year, already I hear people freaking out about Carlos Estevez. And one of the reasons why is because his velocity's been down, right? This is a continuation of a story, not a new story. He did this last year, but he has not come around to this point like he ultimately ended up doing. Will he? I don't know. But there's been a lot of conversation about Carlos Estevez already second-guessing the manager, the manager haters, which there aren't many in this town, but there are a few that somehow seem to not be able to understand how good Matt Quatraro is as a manager.
He should win every game they're supposed to win and never lose any game they're supposed to win.
Well, there's no game. Every game is there to be won. You just got to not screw it up.
Yeah.
That mindset could not be more erroneous in all of sports when it comes to evaluating managers, GMs, coaches. You know, there are mistakes that are made, no doubt, but no team is 162-0 if they just get a moron out of the manager seat.
Yeah.
But there is a lot to talk about with Carlos Estevez, because in this case, this is a continuing story. So I want you to hear Matt Quatraro. This is Matt Quatraro from this morning. He was asked how Estevez is feeling after the ankle injury.
Yeah, I mean, better. He came in, or he left yesterday feeling better. He walked on and off the plane much better than he had been feeling the day before. He's going to get checked out today when Dr. Key's here, and hopefully he's out there playing catch today.
You said maybe wait, you have the off day tomorrow, and then Wednesday you can determine what the next steps might be.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we'll see. I mean, if he comes in here turning cartwheels, will be a different story. But I mean, Carlos is a big dude too, and getting on that foot and getting down the mound is going to be challenging. I mean, he got hit with a hard hit ball, so it's going to be sore.
Is he getting an MRI or something, or just a...
That's going to depend on how he feels today and what Dr. Key has to say.
Okay. What'd you hear there?
That sounds like they think he's going to be pitching again shortly. I didn't necessarily hear a role, but it certainly sounds like most of the talk, almost all the talk from Matt Quatraro today about Carlos Estevez was, when's he going to be back?
Okay, let's talk about J.J. Piccolo then. The general manager asked about Carlos Estevez. He was asked how much of a concern Saturday was to him.
The velocity, we've talked about it quite a bit. Historically, he's been a slow starter. Maybe this year a little bit more slow than last year. But more importantly is the command has got to get better. If we're going to be a good team at the end of the year, if we're going to be a playoff team, Carlos Estevez needs to be a big part of our bullpen. So our challenge right now is how do we figure out how to get him performing the way he's capable of performing. Fortunately, we have a guy like Lucas who pitched ninth yesterday. We have him, we have Strom, we got Schreiber, we have other guys, but it takes an army down there, and if we're going to be a good team, you got to have more than just those guys, and Carlos needs to be a big part of it. So we just got to work with him to figure out what the answers are to get him back to being an effective closer for us.
A little bit more there.
Yeah, a little bit more there.
Quite a bit more.
Matt Quatraro almost tackled it like, well, the foot's the problem. Well, the problem was well on its way before the foot got hit by a ball.
Yes. In fact, the foot may have been, if he doesn't get hit by the foot, they might have won the game because the ball probably goes right to Bobby Wood Jr., who steps on second base and completes a double play. But he was well in trouble before he got hit.
All right, let's examine a number of those things. Let's work backwards. J.J. Piccolo, if they win a World Series, Carlos Estevez, if we're in the playoffs, if they're going deep, they have the kind of year they want to have, Carlos Estevez is going to have to be a big part of it. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
I don't know that I do.
Really?
Like right now, do I have the answer to fill out the 8th guy in the bullpen? I think you can bump everybody up, and I think you're actually okay. I think Urseg is better. If you put him into the 9th, he's better. You lose your fireman, right? It seemed like they kind of used Matt Strom in that role yesterday. That, okay, Strom will move from setup guy to fireman. Urseg becomes closer, and we'll mix and match the setup guy. Like, that's what we don't. Schreiber ended up being.
Pitched in between.
I mean, if we just look at yesterday's game, Schreiber would be then the 8th inning guy, the setup guy. I think you can live like that. I've said all along, I think if you have Estevez and Urseg and some other pieces, Strom being one of them, then you can deploy Urseg as a fireman if he gets back to striking people out.
Right.
But, like, you need – there are plenty of relievers out there that pitch 74 innings and get 108 strikeouts. They're all over baseball.
Yep.
It was a unique thing at one point, but everybody's Aroldis Chapman now. Okay? Seemingly every team has – and maybe not to that extreme, but everybody's got somebody who's 62. And I just did my fantasy baseball leagues over the weekend, so the numbers are fresh in my head. And there is no shortage of guys anywhere in baseball that are 66 innings and 89 strikeouts. I mean, well over 9 per 9 Ks per inning. Lucas Urseg cannot be a fireman, in my opinion, unless he can get the swing and miss. And he wasn't getting that last year. 2 years ago, he was. But so to the Estevez, just taking like what they have to deal with now. Urseg goes to the 9th. For me, Strom would stay in the 8th. And I'd mix and match 6, 7. I mean, the later the innings go, the better it is. I understand the idea of deploying the firemen. Well, this is the most important situation. The highest leverage situation was in the 6th. Well, as we look back at it after watching all 9 innings,
right.
I mean, like, you can make a case. Like, there are times that we'll look back and go, well, you know what? I mean, they gave up the 1 run in the first, but, they had bases loaded still with only 1 out, and so-and-so got strikeout to get him out, and the Royals won 2-1. I mean, the highest leverage situation was in the first. Should we have deployed Urseg then? Like it's like, it's this, it comes down to these rules of like, okay, well, when do we get to fireman stage? Is it the 5th, the 6th, the 7th? When is it? So I get it. I think it's kind of a luxury. For the most part, Matt Quatraro deploys them not based upon there's guys on bases, based upon it's late, it's close, and 2, 3, 4 is up, or 1, 2, 3, 4 is up, or 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the part of the lineup I fear. This is the part that Lucas Urseg is going to get. I don't think Matt Strom, and that's Lucas Urseg 2024. Lucas Urseg 2025, in my opinion, I would like to see the end. I will not say he's wrong, because I know he looks at the data, but I'd like Daniel Mack's team to come in and give me a PowerPoint on why this was the right way to deploy him. Because I am a big believer, if you don't have that fireman, then the one thing I did watch time and time again from 13 to 17 was that everybody knowing their role, I watched them all come out and maximize their abilities. Herrera knew he was the 7th. Davis knew he was the 8th. Holland knew he was the 9th, and they all 3 pitched like closers. And if one of them had to have well, maybe you're going to go in the 6th, but if I don't use you in the 6th, you're going to be the 8th. I don't know how they would have looked. I know when they were told this is your time, they mowed everybody down. Well, that's because they didn't get high leverage. Well, they did at some point. There were 9 outs to be had. Everybody in the batting order got faced somewhere in there. So 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, they were out, and any one of those 3 guys could get them. So personally, I would junk I've got a fireman, and I would assign roles. Hey, we're planning on 5 at least from Waka. If I got to go to him, if he's in trouble in the 2nd, you're my guy. If he runs out of gas in 5, you're my guy. If he runs out of gas in 6, you're still my guy. 7, that's you. 8, that's you. 9, that's you. Let's be ready. You're going to be up. If this guy comes up, this is it. Let's go. Here's our plan for today. Most of the pitching moves are pre-programmed. Everybody thinks it's like the guy's got a hunch.
Just going by feel.
Yeah. Well, let me get all 3 up, and I'll decide which one to deploy at this moment. Almost no one does that. It's all pre-programmed based upon the lineups that are in there, the options that are there for everybody out there. So my first thing is, like, can they get there? They're fine now. I think with the way they're developing pitching, Mason Black and Luinder Avila polishing some things up down in AAA, and the way Avila, his stuff and his stuff rating, and Mason Black and the way he pitched, having been a starter, he's going back to starting, but when he was just one inning, he didn't give up a run. He barely gave up a hit in spring. I'm intrigued by what he can be as a one-inning guy. I think they have some solutions on the way, right? So I think that's the right thing to say, to defer to a veteran bullpen guy. But I want to just say I don't know that I entirely believe it. I'll say this. I hope that's not true. I hope it's not true, because if just losing him makes you not playoff caliber, you're going to lose somebody else in that mix. So if he comes around, you need to have somebody else that can fill in. Now, if you want to say we can't lose 2 of those guys, we can't lose 3 of those guys, you better be able to lose 1 or 2, because everybody does. That's what happens to bullpens. And so I do get that. You're starting to lean into your depth already. Okay, so there's that part. I'm not completely buying it, but I think it's as much about the psyche. Let's go to the point about pulling him out from the game at some point. You had the right spot. I think Lesky had, I can't remember what he was saying last night. And I was sitting around with a bunch of baseball nerds who had done a fantasy league, and we were watching that game. And the guys from out of town are like, well, man, you going to pull him? Because we'd already said, well, he's only throwing 88. And that's a problem. That's an issue. So armed with that, guys who cover other teams, Mariners, A's, they were sitting there and they're like, well, you got to pull him right here. I'm like, I said, except for, and a couple of KC guys did too. I said, except for that's what every one of his saves looked like last year.
Right.
Until it went to hell, that's what they all looked like. And he oftentimes, I don't know how many times he'd be given a 2-run lead and he'd give up 1 run and get the save. That's just kind of what he did. Now, was he fortuitous last year? I kind of think so. Like, was that a plan by design? Well, I know I can hemorrhage a run here, but I'll bear down on this night where I'm leading 5-4. No. I mean, I think it was a little bit fortuitous how good he was. So you should expect a regression. But that's what his saves look like. And so for me, the decision, knowing that he was a slow starter last year and knowing that his velocity was down and not coming around, we just heard JJ say, well, it's not coming around as fast as it did last year, then you got a decision to make. And to me, the decision is either you enter the season and he's your closer, not because you're predicting that it's going to go the best, because of his stature in the clubhouse. And this is the part that is not seen to the fan. There is a hierarchy. There is a pecking order. It is very much your high school locker room. It is not a group of 55-year-olds making rational decisions with 40 years of experience. It's glorified teenagers, and the guy who's done it carries a reverence. The entire culture of baseball is you look up and admire the big leaguers, and when you get to the big leagues, you keep your mouth shut. And the guys that have been there and done that, they'll tell you when it's time to play. And the guys that have been there and done that and gotten paid, you really shut your mouth and listen to what they have to say. There is a reverence for those players. Good, bad, right, or wrong, that is part of your clubhouse. And part of what the manager has to do is manage those personalities, and he has to keep those things in mind. To me, you had one of 2 choices as you came down the stretch run of spring training. You either said, he's not ready, and let's come up with a mystery injury. Let's call it shoulder fatigue. Let's call it a sore elbow. Let's say he got hit by a ball, and let's let him get hit by a ball, batted back, and be like, oh, he's got a bone bruise. And you put him on the IR, and you get him working and throwing and whatever you can do to bring that velocity back up, and then you give him a minor league assignment to make sure that it's good, and then you bring him back up to the big league club. That is one option. Or if he's telling you, no, I got it, Skip, I'm just a little slow, but I'm going to get it there. I'm not going down to the minors. Don't give me that crap. I'm a big leaguer. I'm here. Then you set sail, and you give him his job, but the moment he craps in his hat, you go, all right, we've had this talk. The velocity's not there. Are you hurt? Are you half-assing it? Like, what's the problem? Because it's one thing when it's spring training, it doesn't count. But now it counts, and you cost us a game. So we had this chat already, and we did it your way. Now we're going to do it our way. You got hit on the foot. We got some cover. We'll play it coy. We'll give you one more. I mean, Lesky pointed out, we'll talk to Lesky, I think it is on Wednesday this week, but he pointed out, they did open 24, a playoff season, with Will Smith kind of imploding. Right? That was how 24 began.
Yeah.
And I'll point out that they would have told you in 24 when Will Smith was imploding, we're not going to get to the postseason without Will Smith. And they got to the postseason without Will Smith. Now, I don't like $11 million worth of limited Royals payroll just being junked, but if he ain't got it, he ain't got it.
And who was the guy last year that's MacArthur? He was imploding as well, and they became a potential playoff team.
It's why depth of the pitching. But so I do think the most concerning thing, and I don't think it's just because of the one blown save. I think it's because of what we've watched really now for 2 spring trainings. And we saw how he did round into shape. Again, I'll point out, I think that rounding into shape was a bit lucky in the rate that he was converting saves. I'm expecting a regression. I'm willing to let Big Boy go out there and be the guy, but not for very long. That leash cannot be very long. Mm-mm. And to JJ's point about it wasn't just the velocity, it was the command. Yeah. Those were the fattest pitches ever. I mean,
everything was barreled.
Half-drunk, middle-aged fantasy players were running for bat racks at where we were watching the game. We all wanted a cut at that. I think I could hit that. It's a miracle he didn't give up 2 home runs before the one he finally did give up. I mean, those hits were as solid as it gets. They were as fat as it gets. And so is that a sign that the velocity's gone? And with the loss in velocity, is he's putting everything he can into trying to get the velocity back.
Yep.
And therefore, everything is a fastball. And everything is his straightest fastball he's got because all he's trying to do is hump it up and get it there as hard as he can. And there's no way to get any spin on it, to get any kind of break or dart or sweep to the pitch or anything else because he knows he can't pitch off 89. And so the control, the command, if you will, is just a product of the fact that he is trying to get the velocity back because he knows he can't operate at that number.
When you speed up your arm, the ball's going to come out just a tick earlier, and that's why the ball is going up. And it's straight, and it looked like every single pitch was completely barreled.
It'll be tough off one game if he's like, and listen, most big leaguers, they are trained to be like, no, I got it, Skip. No, give me the ball. Yeah, I can get one more guy. It's part of the problem with the culture of baseball. You love the guy who's going to be tough and going to give you that extra out when your bullpen's depleted and I can get one more inning and I can do it and I can hang in there. And we celebrate the hell out of those guys. And baseball does it to a fault, and they reward it to a fault. Oh, man. Steve tried to get us through one more inning. Yeah, but he gave up 5 runs and killed our chance to win. How about if he goes, I'm screwed. I got nothing. Get me out. Somebody else get in there. And it's incumbent upon the organization to have somebody else, but you get my point. And so Carlos Estevez has been trained to tell you, no, I got this. Well, this is where, are you an analytic team or not? And I think the ball off the foot just gives him a great opportunity to be like, nah, you got a slight fracture in the toe or it's a bone bruise. He can't put the weight on. And it almost, the one thing I will say is that Matt Quatrero seemed a little bit more like we just got to see he's okay, but that's a big guy going down the mount. We're talking about walking here and on a slight incline. Let's just be clear what we just talked about. I don't know that he can walk on a slight incline. We're not talking about getting up and down the floor in an NBA game, 142 times while carrying 7 foot 250. Okay? We're talking about 3 steps down a slight incline.
The minimum amount of effort.
Now, I do get it, like striding off and really powering into a pitch and slamming your foot down. And, if that doesn't feel good and your body reacts and then puts more on the arm, you can blow up the arm.
Leaving the ball up again.
I understand all that. I get that. But I just want to be clear. My point is not to say what Matt Quintero is saying is foolish. I almost think it's his way of addressing the injury without. He gave the one thing, it's like, I don't even know he can get up. coming down the mound. Okay, so I'm not going to be shocked if we get a retroactive IR.
Right.
And like, oh, no, he needs to take some time. And he's in a throwing program right away under the stands. And then 5 days from now, we're like, well, he's going to go out to Arizona. He's going to throw. Then we'll send him out on an assignment. But it is, listen, there's plenty of time to get that game back, and there will be other games squandered that could have been managed differently. I just gave you the reasons why I think they managed it how they did. But it is clear that they have an issue. And it's an issue that's been there before and an issue they knew about coming into the year. This is not like this just started on Sunday or on Saturday.
The issue I would have with the biggest hue and cry was he was obviously struggling from the outset. They should have gone out and gotten him. To do that, you've got to have someone ready to come in. This isn't Stratomatic baseball where you just pull the card out of the deck and flop it down there. And the only way you could have a guy ready to go by the time it was clear he didn't have it would be to have him up when the inning begins. And you're not going to do that to your closer. You talked about the attitude in the clubhouse. Well, that's not going to do any good. Carlos Estevez goes out there for his first time to be the closer of the season, and he looks back, and there's already somebody warming him up in case he sucks. You can't do that. And if you wait till it's obvious, you can't get a guy up in time to get out of that jam. So that is an issue that I think people forget every single time something like that happens. They always want to know, how come he didn't have anybody up already? There's a reason for that.
Yes. I mean, they're just like, and that's what it looks like when he saves games. So you don't know. Like there's always somebody on base.
Yes.
There's always somebody on base.
He's not Wade Davis. Nobody's Wade Davis.
All right, I'll give you one more in reference to today's game. Matt Quatrero was asked with Strom and Urseg both going back-to-backs already if either of them would be ready to go a third straight day today.
Yeah, probably unlikely. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Strom comes in beating the door down. He threw 4 or 5 pitches yesterday, but it's March, too, so we have to be careful with that.
So know that today.
Mm-hmm. How come he didn't go?
If Estevez comes into the game, he's just pitched the other 2 back-to-back days, which begs the question. Up 4-1, was Urseg your only option? Should Matt Strom have pitched longer and left Schreiber to finish the game so that Urseg would be ready today? It's March for Chris Bubich as well. Chris Bubich finished the year on the shelf.
Yeah.
Are we asking Bubich to go get 7 today? I will tell you what you're hoping for, that the bats awaken. And that you can, leave, not even feel like you need to go get any of the big boys out of the bullpen. Now, it'd be real nice to see them hang a 10 spot, 8, have Bubich have a nice 5+, 6 innings, join the Waka, Lugo, excellent start club. Go fairly deep into the game, and then be able to be leading 7-1, 7-2, and not feel like you are even tempted to go get any of those 3. Estevez, because he's not good right now, and Strom and Urseg, because you don't want to pitch him 3 days in a row.
Bailey, Falter, this is your day.
It would be great
John
to see.
Schreiber, maybe, but it's to not have to worry about who it is.
It would be great to see like 6 innings from Chris Bubich, and then be able to go send Bailey Falter out there.
Final statistical note about the bullpen. You mentioned the lack of strikeouts. I was just looking. So far, they've had 6 relievers pitched in these 3 games, 9 innings, 8 strikeouts. That's not a major league high quality bullpen in that stat.
Give it to me again.
9 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts, and 4 of those were Bailey Falter. In an outing in which he threw 3 innings, gave up 5 hits and 2 runs.
Yeah, it's not looking like a big power pen right now. I would agree with that. 913-810-810. We want to get into the college basketball. Obviously, an incredible finish to the Duke North Carolina game. We will talk some college hoops today. I want to get into some NFL draft, free agency talk. Like I said, Matt Derrick coming up in the 3. In the 4 o'clock hour, 2-minute drill in the 5. Seth Kaiser breaking down some free agency and draft with us. It's all coming up next here in the program. All right, let me ask you a question. Have you downloaded the Underdog app? If not, what are you waiting for? Baseball is off and running every night. That's the beauty of baseball. Same with basketball, the NBA, college hoops. You've been enjoying the NCAA tournament. I have had the Underdog app, and it is fantastic. You can make entries, win money right now in Missouri. Get your entries right. You can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Just download the app. By the way, use that promo code Soren, S-O-R-E-N. You can score $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, that's bonus. That's $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5 if you use the promo code Soren, S-O-R-E-N. It's real simple. Just pick your players, right, and pick whether they'll, go and get it done. And points, rebounds, assists, steals, they're all there. Go higher or lower on whatever numbers you want. You're a Laker fan. You love, Austin Reeves. You think he's going to put up big numbers? He's the number 2 guy there. Well, then you go higher on his scoring. How about LeBron James? Points, rebounds, assists, all added together. There's a number there. How about go higher on the rebounds there? Doesn't matter what your team is. Doesn't matter who your favorite player is. Doesn't matter what stat you think you figured out. You can play them all on Underdog. Just download the app. Use the promo code, right? Use promo code Soren to score $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, that's promo code SOREN. It's at Underdog. Make plays, win money.
18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/plain get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-MY-RESET or visit www.ncpggambling.org.
All right, you listen to the program here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Soren, Petro, Kurtis, Seaboldt. The Drake in for Kyle. Kyle off today. We'll allow it just this once.
One time. That's it. No more off days ever.
Talking a little Royals baseball here in the program. I want to give you a little bit more flavor from the press conferences that came today. A little John Sherman talking about the stadium, where we sit with that. Let's start with a question from Todd Lebo, who asked John Sherman if he's got any kind of update on the stadium.
I don't think there's a lot I can say, Todd. I just, we're working very diligently on multiple opportunities. And, it's always dangerous to set a deadline, but I would tell you, I think the pace is picking up, and consistent with what I've been saying, I expect we'll be able to talk about something sooner rather than later, and we have a great sense of urgency about that.
Do you want full site control? Do you want all the finances in place? What do you need?
Before we make an announcement, I think we would want to have site control and certainly the public financing in place before we announce it.
It's picking up. The pace is picking up. From what?
I mean, I get it's always dangerous to set a deadline. He speaks from experience because they've mentioned a number of different ones and blown through all of them when it was all said and done. John Sherman was asked a little bit later on how many scenarios are still out there.
I think we've talked enough about, certainly North Kansas City. They've done a nice job with both land assemblage and political leadership up there. There are still some discussions going on the Kansas side, and then certainly the other one is Kansas City, Missouri, downtown.
All right, just read that. Give me your poker read. He is not an easy guy.
No.
It's a monotone delivery. But do you have a read? Because I know what I think I
really.
heard, but I feel like I'm influenced from other things I've heard elsewhere.
I think my first reaction would be he's just tipping his cap to North Kansas City and Kansas, and hey, we're not just looking at one spot. And he kind of slow played the downtown when downtown really is the idea.
Yeah, I think Washington Square Park is the location now. I think it's are there people out there that will get excited about it? I mean, I'll tell you one of the reasons why I think Washington Square Park is very much in play, because they were all excited to talk about it there for a while when it looked like they weren't going to get it, when everyone thought it was going to Kansas. And now that we know that that's not anything, they ain't got anything to say anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that to me is like the silence is deafening with that location.
Yeah.
And I think it still points towards that. I think John Sherman always wanted it in downtown Kansas City, Missouri. I think there's probably, I don't know where all the people in the ownership group live. I know some of them live out of town, but then also live here in town. So on the Kansas side, I know some live in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm trying to think the ones that I do know where they live. But I think they all have a value. I mean, the one thing I do appreciate and I feel good about is all of the ownership are Kansas City people that have, whether they still are here all the time or not, they have the best interest of Kansas City at heart. And they strike me as being of a generation, most of them, that has been thinking of downtown baseball for a long time. And I think Kansas City, Missouri has now lost the Chiefs and needs really only to be in the ballpark. When I say in the ballpark, I don't mean 50 miles away. I mean in the ballpark. They can't have some plan that has the Royals paying twice as much. But I think if they're in the ballpark, downtown Kansas City is where it's going to end up.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've felt that for a while. I've said it for a while. Am I just being influenced? Am I just rooting for my own prediction and hearing what I want to hear when I hear him talk that way? But it sounded the same way to me.
I thought, well, let's get these things. We'll just mention downtown at the end, like it's not that big a deal. Because if that's what I wanted to do, that's exactly how I would do it.
I've heard some people who told me they'd like to have it done by spring training, and if they don't get it done by spring training, they definitely want it done by the time they get back. They're back, and it's not done.
Nope.
And so I do continue to question whether or not the leadership, the people that are running the point for the Kansas City Royals, are the right people, because we didn't hear all this with the Chiefs, right? Like, there's like a lot of I don't know. I'm sure it's frustrating for everybody involved, but it's time to put this one to bed.
When he said sooner rather than later, well, what's sooner and what's later? Is sooner 6 months and later is a year? That's an indefinable range right now.
I do return, and I think John Sherman said it, and I think he's right about this, that it is important to get it right. that this is a generational decision. Hopefully the ball club's going to play there for 40 or 50 years, just as what have the Royals played in this one, almost 60 years now?
Yeah, 50. It'll be 54th season.
54th season, okay. So hopefully we're talking about 50 years and whatever the next home is, right? 60. This will get to close to 60 when it's all said and done. But I want to point out, we're into the 26th season, and it's in 31
Yeah.
that they got to be someplace else.
You mentioned something about somebody else. I think it was with the Braves. The Braves built their stadium in 39 months. That's 3 years and 3 months. That's boy.
I don't know.
If you put the shovel in now, that's June or July of 29.
I don't know what the plumbing and electrical was at the side of the Atlanta Braves, but some of the places you're talking about massive infrastructure that needs to get done.
Yep.
And so, yeah, they have spun their wheels for a long time. And it's now, they got to get it right. That's the most important thing. But if you are going to get it right and it takes you another year to get it right, and now you're into the 27 season, so then there's all kinds of stuff you got to do before you put a shovel in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to a point to where you need an extension, and I believe the extensions come in 5-year blocks, and you decide to leave Kansas City, Missouri. Do you think that Kansas City, Missouri is going to show you any grace on the way out the door?
No.
Which is another reason
look
why
how they're reacting to.
Which is
the
another
Chiefs.
reason why I come back to it being in Kansas City, Missouri, downtown, because the pace is not picking up.
Right.
And the only reason you would be sitting and saying, okay, we got to take our time and sooner rather than later and not be getting worried is if you're staying in that spot. Because if you're going to build a new stadium in Kansas City, Missouri, you will just do a deal that includes we're here for however long it takes. Now, they could still, 39 months from now, think about that, 39 months. If you're going to do it in 39 months, right, you're going to get at least the ballpark done in 39 months. That's this year, but that's 27, 28, and 29 as well. So theoretically, it could be ready at 30 if you go now.
Yeah, if you dug a shovel in today, 39 months is June 30th, 2029.
Right? But they're not putting a shovel in.
No.
And so now where you get to, you're into 30. I mean, but you said it's June 30th?
Mm-hmm.
So that gives us, they have 18 months to get something done, right? Or what do we want to say? You need to be ready by today at 31. So you've got 24 months. And that would then require you to equal the fastest turnaround ever, which is a bad plan.
Yeah.
It's a really bad plan. Because if you get delays or get backed up, hello, Omaha. Right? Isn't that the next best option?
I would think so,
If they come up short?
Mm-hmm.
So there's the clock is ticking unless they're going to be in Kansas City, Missouri, and then it's just like, well, we'll do the sales. I don't know how they're going to do it, if there's going to be a vote or not. I mean, he said he wants the financing in place. That to me says no vote. And the word all along has been that Kansas City, Missouri, and the mayor have a way to fund it and not send it to a vote. But then there's a sports commission, and so
it is amazing that they've only gotten a few inches away from the starting line.
I applauded the man the day he brought it up years ago. I said, this is great because you got to get going early. And they've been lapped by the Chiefs. Now, I think the Chiefs were already working as well. But, I mean, I was like, I like the fact that he was being up front. But they have been up front and not having to sneak around and do things, and they haven't been able to get it done to this point.
Nope.
9133-810-810. We'll take a break. You're in the program. All right, 913-810-810, talking some Royals baseball here in the program. Royals coming home, opening the home slate of the schedule for 2026 with today's game against the Minnesota Twins. Jack Johnson will be doing a special episode tonight for post-game.
A very special Jack Johnson.
913-810-810. The Royals looking to get back to 500.
Yep.
First time all year.
Woo.
But the early numbers
Big,
are fun.
big step. I do, too. Yeah, I like that. They're on a pace.
It's kind of like leaving that last day of school before Christmas break. See you next year. Shut up.
Or New Year's Eve. You see someone last for New Year's Eve. I'll see you next year.
913-810-810, talking some Royals baseball. Jason, you're in the program. What's going on, Jason?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, heading out to Kaufman today. Super excited for this season. Wish we could have got that one on Sunday. Seven blew it, but that's how it goes. I wish Ersteg would be our everyday closer, but super excited. I think the boys are going to win today. The Twins aren't really anything special, so super excited. Expecting Bubic to have a great day on the mound, and yeah, that's all I got.
Well, I'm getting the vibe that you're super excited about this game. I am quite optimistic that Bubic is going to pitch well, and I think that there could not be a better way to end his time in Kansas City, which I think it will come to an end, than by having a full season. Yeah. He's never done a full season in the big leagues for the Royals. And if he could go out there and be a 3 ERA for 180 innings, 175 innings, get about 165 strikeouts, then I think the Royals are going to be pretty tough. You were quoting Randy's text. We were talking earlier. They say your momentum is as good as your next day's starting pitcher. And he said your confidence, when you have a bad day in the opener because Chris Sale shoves. But guess what? We've got Michael Wacha next. All right, Carlos Estevez blew it up, but Seth Lugo's next. So you feel pretty good. Chris Bubic needs to establish that that's going to be the same thing for him.
Betting line today, Royals minus 164, Twins plus 138. What do you make of that? It's not a massive favorite.
No, but
not a nail biter either.
No, it's a pretty solid favorite. I mean,
there's only two other teams that are more favorites, and that's Phillies at home against the Nationals, who were terrible, and it is the Blue Jays at home against the Rockies, who are even more terrible.
Yeah, I think
third highest odds of the day.
It'll be pretty. I mean, losing the home opener always sucks, so that'll be disappointing. But I would. There are a couple of guys. Like I'll say this. I want to see Jack Caglione continue to put up good numbers. Doesn't even have to be great. I mean, I'd love for him to put up great numbers, but I think it's important for him. And one of the reasons I was really big on Carter Jensen hitting a home run yesterday, why I think that's important, is I don't want to see either one of those guys walking out to their walk-up music and looking up at that scoreboard and seeing numbers that they go, it's going to take me at least a week to make those numbers look okay.
Yeah.
They don't have to be whatever they're going to be, but I don't want to see Jack Caglione 3 weeks into this and he hadn't hit a home run. Right? I don't want to see Jack Caglione see 110 batting average that he realizes I got to go like 12 for 12 just to get to 200. Right? And that's where it got to last year.
Yep.
And so I think it's important for them, and I think the Carter Jensen home run, okay, check that off for this year. He's going to hit the ball. Let's go.
Yeah.
You don't want him to have the kind of start Vinny had last year.
No. But I never worried about Vinny. I'm terrified about Caglione. He does not have the body of work to make himself feel like, I'm okay. I know I can do this.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, and his numbers are fine right now. I'd like him to stay at least fine. And at some point during the year, I'd like him to begin to become a force.
Start rocking that ball over the fence.
913-810-810, Crush. You're in the program. What's going on, Crush?
Well, you guys all day long, man. Love this station. Thank you. Hey, I want to point something out, though.
Okay.
Like, let's say we can say, hey, Omaha, what would you think of this? Hey, Memphis. Hey, Kansas. But why can't we leave out, like, ridiculing Jackson County on, hey, you're going to lose this. The people of Jackson County have already spoken. So to tell them, hey, you're going to lose this, they already said no. Now, there is a way, and that he could fund his own stadium. So to be like, hey, guys, they're going to Omaha, and you should be embarrassed about it. Well
hang on.
We embarrassed? I mean, we already voted.
Hang on. Who is trying to embarrass Kansas City, Missouri?
Well, I mean, no, you're like, you're going to lose these guys to Omaha. No, you said this in the hour, right?
I brought up Omaha as a temporary where they would have to play.
My point is, I don't think the people of Jackson County are all that concerned, or else they would have voted yes, Soren.
Well, I think the people of Jackson County want the Royals. They just didn't want that plan. The plan was half-assed. They changed it 5 minutes before the vote. There's a street here. Now there's not a street here. No, there is a street here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And going back thinking about that, what a crappy plan that was. You're right. But I guess I'm just saying, like, to say you people are losing out, it's like, well, hey, man, I mean, you act like we don't care about them at all. And I'm just saying, well, I mean.
Well, hang on. Because you're on they and thems all over the place. I can't figure out who you're saying is that the Royals don't care about.
Why? Come on, man. Like, who says the people of Memphis or Omaha are going to vote yes?
I've got to move forward. You're not grasping the concept. No one is voting in Memphis or Omaha. Okay, the Royals would pay rent. I brought up Omaha that if they're leaving Jackson County and they don't want to add on 5 years, and Jackson County does not want to extend a 1 year or 2 year solution for them to finish building their stadium, where would they play games? We have seen the Rays play in the Yankees, A-ball park in Tampa, and we've watched the A's play in the AAA park in Sacramento. So you would have to find a close stadium that could house baseball. The point is that Jackson County is not going to want to be real hospitable if the Royals say we're going north of the river or we're going to Kansas. The point is not that Omaha or Memphis are going to have an opportunity to take the Royals. That's not the point. Okay, what I said in the first segment was that, or in the second segment, was that if they don't get this done soon, they're going to need an extension, which is built into the lease right now, but it is a 5-year extension. And if you're Jackson County, they say, well, we want it, what are you going to do? Now, do I think they'd eventually get a 1 or 2 year deal done? Yes, they'd ask for the Royals to help pay for the teardown of Kauffman Stadium. They'd try to get something from it. The Royals would need to do it because I think the Royals would much rather continue to play and overpay on a lease to play in Kauffman Stadium. But that's why I'm just trying to give you the information in advance. That's not today, but it is about 2 years from today because they need 39 months to build a stadium, or it's 3 months short of 2 years from today, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they need to start 3 months before with 3 years, so
yes,
that's where we are.
Yeah.
So when he says, like, well, picking up the pace, okay, well, I just want to be clear. If you need 39 months and you got to be ready by opening day of 31, back up 39 months from there. And where you'll find yourself is in
January 1st.
January 1st of 28. So that's your deadline. 21 months. You have 21 months to get something going. And if you do that, that would mean that you would then equal the fastest stadium that's ever been built.
Yeah.
That's what it would require. So I wouldn't leave it to that point. So I think more like 18 months, 12 months. And I know everyone sits here like, well, I mean, they're not going to wait that long. Yeah, I know. I would have told you when they lost the vote, we wouldn't still be sitting here looking for a solution. But we are.
Yeah. And the idea, well, it has to be the right decision. I agree with that. But at some point, you leave yourself so little time that the right decision almost becomes impossible. You're left with the next best decision.
And Crush, the part I can't understand, I love you. Give us a call anytime. You're a great baseball fan. But I can't figure out, are you talking about Jackson County being pissed at the Royals or the Royals being pissed at Jackson County? And let me be clear, the Royals aren't pissed at the people of Jackson County. They may hate the holy living guts out of the politicians that control the purse strings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure there was no love lost for Frank White.
That makes sense.
Now, he's not in the equation anymore, but that's where the friction is.
Yeah.
But being mad at the people, I listen, they voted, and also the Royals plan, they didn't say no to the Royals. They said no to the Royals and the Chiefs. So the Chiefs plan, which was uninspired by many people's estimation, I've had numerous people that live in Jackson County, Missouri, that do not like that the Chiefs are leaving. They're like, well, if you'd given me a chance to vote for a dome, I would have voted yes. But you didn't. You gave me a crappy renovation plan. That's why people are like, do you think the Chiefs were just sandbagging it? No, I don't. But
I don't either. But it's.
But I
they have
also
an argument.
don't think they came up with a world-class idea either.
If they were going to sandbag it, that's how it would have looked.
Yes. Chris, you're on the program. Wrap us up this hour. Chris, what's on your mind?
I've got a quick Royals question and maybe a quick follow-up NFL draft question.
Okay.
The Royals question was with Chris Bubik. If he's having a really good year and the Royals are still in contention, I would say we still want to trade him at the deadline because we got the pitching depth. What do you think?
I think if the pitching depth proves there, I mean, Kolich is on the IL right now. If Bergert is humming along and Kolich, if you've got a couple of guys down in the minors and you can get something worthwhile, then yes, I'm all for it. And I think they will have that in the back of their mind. But if somebody's just going to come give you some mid-level prospects, no.
Got it.
And Bubich has got to pitch
draft-
well to bring a healthy return, right? It starts there.
Right. Yeah, quick NFL draft question. In finance, there's a thing called time value of money, that you'd rather have $1 today than $1 next year.
Right.
Do you think NFL front offices believe that, let's say, the 50th draft and the pick this year is more valuable than the 50th pick next year?
100% they do, and to a fault. And I know what you're talking about.
Right.
And Chris, and I'm going to let you go, buddy. I appreciate the call. Yes, but they hold it to a fault. Teams give away future picks, and the Rams have been one of the major benefactors of this, of taking future picks because teams don't value them at the same price. The idea that anybody in these drafts knows that the 27 draft is going to be better than the 26 draft is bunk. I've talked to the personnel people. They don't have the time. They're blowing every hour they got, every minute they got, just to figure out what the hell is in this 26 draft. And if they don't do the 26 draft right, they're fired. So they pour everything into the 26 draft. Do they know who the top 20 guys are, or 20 of the top 50 are right now? Yeah, because they flashed on tape while they were looking at other guys. They've got a feel for who the top of the draft is, but the depth of the draft beyond that, they have no idea.
They can't.
So I understand what you're saying, and from keeping my own job as a general manager, that's true. But in reality, those draft picks are the same value year over year over year.
All right, before yesterday, when was the last time Duke blew a 14-point lead in the second half of an NCAA tournament game? Brought to you by La Feta Delicatessen.
Hour number 2 of the program begins right now. We talk some Chiefs football here, as we are wanting to do. Matt Derrick joins us as we welcome Matt to a beautiful Monday. Matt, how are you, buddy?
Since it is a beautiful Monday, Soren, I am doing relatively well.
Relatively well.
Moderately neato.
I'm definitely, maybe moderately fine.
I would be doing a lot better had the only two teams I had left in the NCAA bracket had made the Final Four, since I had Arizona and Duke, and that was not the way for a Dookie to go down. So
I'm going to tell you that if UConn doesn't hit that shot, I go 4 for 4 in the Final Four.
Nice.
I had Illinois. Most people didn't have Illinois.
I was definitely going to be one of those people screaming that Dan Hurley deserved a technical there at the end for getting in with the official. But,
he always does.
Well, someone said, I saw Seth Davis talk about that, and he said, like, he knows the guy, and they're kind of buds off the court or whatever, and he thought it was just him kind of going, look at that crazy shot, that he wasn't trying to intimidate the guy. You can't do it. I mean, it's simple, but I didn't take it as him trying to intimidate the guy after they hit the game-winning shot.
Well, next time I'm just joshing around with all my friends. I'm going to try that and see how it goes over.
You were too tall to do that.
Yeah.
Well, person you do that to is me.
Yeah. It was an amazing sequence of events, though. We're going to talk about it a little bit more later on, but yeah, it was. I mean, listen, I can't stand UConn, and I dislike Dan Hurley even more, even though I have a good friend who vouches for him. He's a great guy, blah, blah, blah. He used to coach with him in Jersey and says he's a great guy and all this. And I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I want to dislike him, so
Yes.
don't tell me about him being great.
Please.
I enjoy not liking him, okay? But
tell me he kicks puppies.
He can flat out coach.
Yep.
I mean, I will say that. He can build a
Indeed he
team.
can.
He can coach. And I don't think John Shire did anything of this whole thing, like somehow Shire botched this or that. I'm not going down that road. I don't see that happening. That's not what I see. That's not what I saw. Two really good, talented, expensive teams took the floor, went to the end, and the UConn kids made a play. I mean,
Yeah. The Duke kid made a mistake, and the UConn kid made a play.
yeah. But I digress. Let's talk some Chiefs football, Matt. Do you have a draft crush right now? Do you have a dream scenario for pick number 9?
I'll admit that I'm probably falling into the Reuben Bain trap. That's the guy I enjoy watching on film the most. It's the guy that I think could probably help the Chiefs the most. I get that there's a lot of flaws with almost everybody at the top of the board. I mean, it does seem like that this year, I mean, even with the guys that you consider to be the 10, 15 can't-miss prospects, I'm not even sure that you can really say can't miss, because it seems like everybody's got some flaws. There's some question marks about everybody. But that's the guy to me that, like I said, I mean, I think fits the Chiefs' needs the most. He's the most fun to watch play. Like I said, everybody's got their flaws. Nobody's perfect in this draft, but that's the guy I'm allowing myself to fall for.
Are you landing there because you think defensive end's the biggest need?
It's a little bit the defensive end's a big need. I mean, what are the Chiefs' biggest needs right now? I mean, I could argue that they could go about 5 or 6 different ways, but again, some of those positions are going to be non-premium positions. I would not be a fan of the Chiefs taking like a tight end at 9. I mean, now that they've signed Kenneth Walker, I don't think that if Jeremiah Love fell to 9, I don't think that would be the right case. But drafting an off-ball linebacker, would that be the way to go at 9? I mean, I can't really argue that. Receiver, certainly you could make a case for. But when it gets down to the premium positions, offensive tackle, defensive line, wide receiver, corner, it gets to, okay, well, who's the best player of that group? And honestly, I still feel like it comes down to Reuben Bain. And, everybody else, I feel like it's not a rich draft at the top. It might be a good draft later on when get to the second, third, fourth rounds, and you might be able to get some real depth and maybe better than average players in the second, third, and fourth. But you look at the very top of the draft. I mean, I do feel like Reuben Bain's probably one of the best players in this draft.
maybe it's my Mizzou showing, but I do really think that Zion Young's going to be an impact player at that position. Now, the most recent mock draft I've seen, Matt Miller has him going at 34 early in the second round, and he has the Chiefs passing on him at 29 and taking a corner out of Clemson. If you told Brett Veach Zion Young will be there at 29, do you think he might go elsewhere at 9, knowing he can get an impact player somewhere else and maybe get the impact edge later?
I mean, in the hypothetical, yeah, he's there scenario, I would definitely consider it. I like Zion Young. I feel like that's an appropriate part of the draft for him to go, maybe late first, early part of the second. Again, I mean, there's a reason why he's going to be going a little bit lower in the draft. A guy like Ruben Bain, he's not as strong. I don't think that the base is quite there. Bain's more athletic, I believe. So that's the difference between the two of them. And then, yeah, it does get into, hey, who do you take at 9? That's going to influence who you take at 29. I mean, if you address the edge at 9, I can't really justify addressing it again at 29 because now you got a potential that you're using a first-round pick on a guy who might be your third or fourth, player on the depth chart. If you're taking a guy at 1, I mean, that should be a guy that is, or in the first round, it should be somebody that is maybe absolutely going to start or somebody who can help you immediately.
Do you think the Mizzou kid's going to be closer to pick 9 or pick 29?
Pick 29. Yeah, I'd have a hard time seeing Zion Young going in earlier than low 20s. I mean, I think that's about the best. And honestly, I mean, most consensus seems to be probably early in the second. So if you thought you felt pretty good about him being there, maybe that's the guy, and maybe you do address something else. I mean, and defensive end, honestly, I mean, you look at this draft and the way that it may play out, there's going to be some good defensive linemen later on. It's just going to be the trade-off. It's going to be, there's going to be guys who are probably less athletic than Ruben Bain. They're just going to maybe have 33-inch arms, so maybe you feel better about the size of those guys.
And I'm still seeing some variance on Young, even this close. We're inside of a month, or about a month from the draft. Usually some of those spots are a little bit more concrete, but 34 for Matt Miller. I saw somebody last week had him around 21. I mean, that's maybe you get down to the first round, there is that much variance, but more than 10 spots seems to be a big gap between. So I wonder how much of the mock drafts are based on just an individual assessment of the players and the team's needs, and how much is based on things people are hearing. That to me is usually when you get closer to the draft and the mock drafts start to line up more. It's because what they're hearing becomes more accurate. This is still a pretty big gap on that kid.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a pretty big gap because we always talk about that. Hey, teams have maybe 15, 18 players in their first-round draft that they have first-round grades on. I consistently still hear people saying, hey, that there's going to be less than that. That there's going to be teams that maybe have 12 guys on their board with first-round grades, and you can see why. I mean, there's fewer early entries into this year's draft than we have seen in a long time. So there's not as many of these just 21, 22-year-old juniors who are coming out. Ruben Bain's one of those guys. He's just 21, so there's still a lot of athleticism to go there. There's guys, obviously, because of what we have seen the last few years in terms of this draft, and the BYU kid that's getting talked about is maybe an early round pick. He's 25 years old. I mean, that's a guy. Ruben Bain's a guy that will cash in on his second contract. You might sign him, and if he's the player that you want him to be, you're going to sign him to a second contract that's going to make him the highest paid player at his position. You take a guy who's 25, you're probably not even signing that guy to a second contract. You're going to probably let him hit free agency if he's going to be 29 or 30 by the time you get done with his rookie contract at his fifth-year option. So, that's with both. And I mean, in this kid, obviously, it's a case of, the mission trip that he took before his high school year and everything after high school. In some of these cases, players, just the fact that they spent a long time in college because of NIL. They're taking extra years. There's a lot of guys who are playing in college this year that would normally be early entries into the draft. And NFL teams are always going to take upside. So, again, I expect that most of the first rounds are going to be players who are 21, 22, 23 at the most. And then you're going to start seeing the guys who are a little bit older filter in. But, because it just seems like that there's so much fewer, players that teams have high at the top end of the draft, and there is so much difference between the second, third, and fourth. We sometimes talk about the fact that, hey, once you get past like the third or fourth round, there'll be guys that teams have a fifth round grade on that go undrafted. This year in this draft, there's going to be guys if teams probably have a second round grade on that don't go until the fifth round. I think there's just going to be a wide variance this year because it's a wide variance type of players in this year's draft.
I don't know. I think, to Kurtis's point, like just the information hasn't leaked out. So we start with this consensus of this is what it is. This is what everybody thought. Zion Young is 6 feet 6 inches tall. His arms are like, 34? Some along those lines. He checks the boxes. He went to the Senior Bowl. He whipped ass. Against the best of the best. Like, now, I have not sat and studied the Mizzou defense and their game tape and, they try to funnel everything here so his sack numbers are down. I think we start with this, what we read from everybody else, and we determine that is reality, and it's not coming from the teams. And it's as we now walk closer up to the draft that the team's information starts to come out, and we start saying a guy's rising when he's not rising. It's just the guys who, God bless them all. Intel. Yeah, the way too early mock draft. I love you. It's great work. You're not supposed to get it right. It's impossible to get it right. But you're also way off. You just, like, the information hasn't made it out. And then the guys whose job is for it are just now coming to their conclusions about what guys are. So you took a good stab at it based upon what you've seen when watching games on TV. And great.
The most recent movement in mocks that I think actually has legitimacy is the Delane, the corner from LSU, who's jumped maybe well into the top 10 because of the 40 time that he ran. But that's about the last. We've kind of gotten to the end of the part of the draft where new data is going to show up on the player themselves. They're going to do anything important. From now on, it's just better intel, right?
In some cases, but again, I hate the term sleeper too, or risers, or anything like this for the most part, because teams aren't taking a player that they put on their board in January and said, hey, this guy's a fifth round pick, and then after the combine and the All-Star games or anything like this, they're all of a sudden saying, hey, no, this guy's a first round pick. We're doing that because we don't have as much information as those teams have, but they've been watching these guys more closely than any of us have for 3-4 years. And what they're doing this time of year is they're deciding how likely it is that they would take a player. And they're trying to figure out, hey, wait a minute, you know what, this guy, his combine looked great. We thought he was a fifth-round grade, but, his combine numbers look fantastic. Why are his combine numbers so much better than what the production was? So you go back and look at the tape. Maybe there'll be some adjustments there, but again, that might be that you just all of a sudden go to, wait a minute, this guy was going to be, maybe we take him in the fifth round well, we're definitely going to take him in the fifth round. But you don't just look at a guy and say, hey, he had a good, February and March, so we're going to take this guy that was we had a fifth-round grade on based on the 4 years of observation that we've had, and now move him into the first round. Conversely, it's going to be, hey, this guy's a first-round talent. And then they're going to meet with the guy, and they're going to find out more, and they're going to say, oh, wait a minute, this guy's a head case. We're not going to draft him at all. We're going to put a big red flag next to him.
And he's already got, what's his red flag? He's got one already. I forget. What did he do? He had something, didn't he? Or am I getting him confused with somebody else? I know what it was. He was one of the Michigan State players that was fighting in the tunnel with Michigan? Like when the guy was down, was he hitting on a guy? I think he might have punched a guy that was down. I apologize. I'm just trying to go from memory. I did have one person bring up, don't forget he had this, which, listen, I don't like it if it is true, if he was one of those guys.
He was one of the 4 suspended, and it was 4 years ago.
Okay, so. Yeah. Okay, so but it's a fight, and I again, it was a very ugly situation, and I don't want to minimize it in any way. I don't want to trivialize it. It belongs on his resume. and it's there. But I also know that everybody and their brother, anytime somebody's wearing a different colored jersey on the football field, they've got an entire coaching staff whipping them into a frenzy and acting like everybody slept with their mom last night on the other team. So, like it's. I can get by that faster than I can get by a domestic violence charge. Like that one, like the Falcons trading up to get a guy with domestic issues. Like you're an idiot. Right, I could get by this pretty quick, but I will wager you right now that he goes. 19 would get. There's 20 spots in between 9 and 29, right? I always forget you got to take it out.
There's 20. There's 19 spots, I think. 10 to 28.
Okay,
so talking red flags,
spots.
I forgot he was also arrested in December and charged with driving while intoxicated and speeding. So
that doesn't help.
That doesn't help.
That doesn't help.
True story.
I got to think about it, but I think I may be willing to wager that he will go. So we've got 10 to 28, so that's 19.
Mm-hmm.
So that would give us
19. It would be the immediate, since there's an odd number of spots.
Okay, so 19 would be a push.
Yeah.
18 or higher, I win. 20 or lower, you win. Little wager on where he goes.
I would take that.
I gotta think about it.
Your last bit of information may have changed his mock.
Yeah, the drunk driving thing's not good. I mean, that sucks.
We don't have to wager on it for Soren, but we are close enough that I will absolutely get in your face and just Dan Hurley you about that. So.
The forehead thing. You have to lean down though.
Exactly.
Yeah. You do it while sitting.
I'm intrigued by that. I actually think he's going to come rocketing up. I think over these next 4 weeks we're going to start hearing his name. If they sit and talk to him and they like the guy, and they think he's beyond. Okay, he was a dumb kid. Well, why'd you do it? What happened? Well, actually, my buddy was even drunker than me, or I don't know. I don't know. I don't even want to play out that scenario. But whatever it is, if there's a comfort level, I believe his football talents. He's closer to 9 than he is 29. The league is filled with guys who are big sack guys who never had 15 sacks. They don't all look like Derek Thomas at Alabama.
No.
And the
27 sacks his senior year.
The one thing I look at when I read all the write-ups on him, I keep reading that he doesn't have a go-to move. He needs more tools in the toolbox. Yes, because you don't get coached as well in college. And so he's just a big, strong, fast, quick kid, and no one's reached him like, dude, we got to work on some hand fighting techniques. We got to get some leverage things. And so to me, if you're seeing a guy who's playing at the SEC level and doing those things, and I can't remember who it was he blew up, but it was a good offensive lineman that he just dumped on his ass on a bull rush. I think that is going to resonate with a lot of people.
He just destroyed top players at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was one of the big offensive linemen. He just put a bull rush on the guy and it was like, who's picking on the fat kid here?
If you can be that impressive without having necessarily great technique, you have to say two runners. One kid, they run the same speed. One kid has bad style. Who do you pick? The kid with bad style, because you can fix him and make him even better. I think that's where a lot of people might see Zion Young.
Yeah,
he's definitely got upside.
And you've actually kind of touched on what I think is maybe the question mark, and it's my issue because I watched the guy the last couple of years and watched him in person for a few games. And I like him. I think you're right. I mean, he has an outstanding burst. I think that's the catch, is that he's kind of the maybe George Karlaftis, in that if he doesn't beat you off the bull rush, if he doesn't beat you off the jump, he kind of gives up. You're right in the sense that does he have a secondary move or anything he can go to? That's an issue. I mean, if he beats you, you're toast. But
you know who that sounds like?
You're going to say Chris Jones. Probably.
Yes, I'm definitely going to say Chris Jones. You heard it coming out of your mouth just like I heard it.
I heard it coming out of your mouth.
Yeah. I mean, well, I definitely, that's what I see in Chris Jones now. Forget about what he was at Mississippi State. I mean, all right, if he gets, where he's got a quick jump on somebody and he's getting by, he's all in to try to roar in there. But if they get him and lock him up and somebody puts a chip on him, I'm just going to stand here. I'm good. So I wouldn't hate too much on that. Listen, we'll see. What do you like at 29?
I mean, 29. I think that there are a lot of options, and this is the thing that and we've been talking about this. I think we probably maybe talked about this last week. I know I pontificated on Jason's show about my pet peeve because I do not get anybody, and I almost feel like just stop reading a mock draft if you're reading it, and they have the Chiefs taking an offensive tackle at 9 because they're going to move Josh Simmons to right tackle. I mean, I feel like that's just somebody who did not watch any football last year of the Chiefs and hasn't talked to anybody in Kansas City in a year and a half. I just don't see that happening. Now, could the Chiefs take a right tackle at 29? I think that's super likely because I think there's going to be some depth. There's maybe one guy that I would take in the first round or in the top 9 as an offensive tackle, and that's Francis, and I knew how to pronounce his name. It's Maui Goa. There you go. I had it the other day and I forgot it again. He's the only guy I'd take in the top 9. Now there might be 6 guys though I would take after that, and would consider it 29, maybe even trading up from 29.
Well, but he's a right tackle.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I would take him. I would consider him. I think he'll be gone before 9, so that's. I'm not sure that's going to be an option, but I'd take him there. There's not anybody else. I mean, Spencer Fano from Utah, I wouldn't. The kid from Georgia, Freeling, I would not take him at that early. Anybody that falls, I mean, and if these guys start falling past 23, I mean, yeah, I mean, am I a big fan of Caden Proctor at the right draft spot? Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind him for the Chiefs. But, again, it's got to be at the right spot. I could also see, because, the Chiefs still needed, they need a total of 4 to 5 new faces on that defensive front. They've got 1 so far. If they went defensive line, like D tackle in the first round, wouldn't stun me. Caden McDonald's right there from Ohio State. Right now I'm looking at mock draft database, and they literally have him as the 29th ranked player on the board, appropriately enough. There's a lot of positions there that I would consider. Obviously I think the best guys at some of the spots, like the non-premium positions, safety, the linebackers are going to be gone, but there's going to be some good corners. There are going to be some good defensive linemen, good offensive linemen that somebody you could, even if they're just a swing tackle this year, or if they absolutely push Jalen Moore for a right tackle, sure, go ahead. I think there's going to be spots at all 3 of those places.
Yeah, I do think tackle's a possibility, and I hope that trade down's a possibility as well.
Yeah, it should. I mean, and honestly, should be a consideration at 9 too. I mean, it's if you get to 9 and the guy that you're absolutely in love with, and hey, let's say it is Bain that the Chiefs absolutely like, and he's not there at 9, but you still got 6 guys that you like. There's not necessarily a problem with sliding back a few spots. Now, I wouldn't necessarily slide back to 18 and risk losing anybody that you got a first-round grade on. But I'd absolutely consider sliding back to pick up more draft capital because you need it both now and for future seasons.
Yeah. Yeah. I think 29's a premium trade down spot. I don't think there's going to be anybody who wants to do it. Right, but I think you'd love to trade down. That's what the Chiefs did when they took Chris Jones. But I think that's why teams don't come up to that spot anymore. There isn't, like you said, that the likelihood that somebody's sitting there and looks at it and goes, "We got to get to 29. There's one of our top guys that we think is a real true first rounder. We got to come get him." I mean, I think it's the same reason why the Chiefs have been stuck picking 30, 30, 31, 32 all the time because they'll listen to trade down. Nobody wants to come up. Because they're like, they're 5 corners. I see them all the same. They're 4 wideouts. I see them as all the same. They're 4 second-tier edge rushers. I see them all the same. Why would I move up? I'm going to get one of them when I, hear 11 picks down the way. So I would love to see him trading down on that, but I don't think there's a high demand for it. I think that's why they took Clyde Edwards-Helaire back in the day.
Well, and that's exactly where I go back to is, you go back to 2 of the times that the Chiefs had the last pick in the first round. And both Clyde and with Felix Anudike-Uzomah, And they would have loved to have traded out of both those spots. And, once upon a time, the conventional wisdom was, hey, late in the draft, late in the first round, 32, it's a great place to be because if a team wants to come up and get that fifth-year option for a quarterback or another developmental player who might take some time to warm up, you want to be able to get that fifth-year option. Teams don't care about the fifth-year option anymore. I mean, if a guy's good enough to play under the fifth-year option, you're going to extend him. You're not even going to get to the fifth-year option. And if he's not good enough, for an extension, you're not probably going to pick up the fifth-year option. Look how few fifth-year options are getting picked up anymore. And the ones who do get picked up, how many actually play under them? Almost nobody. So, yeah, I mean, you want to say, hey, okay, great, Ty Simpson's on the board, at 29. Maybe somebody will trade up to the fifth-year option. No, nobody really seems to be that way because, hey, if Ty Simpson's not the real deal after 3 years, you're cut bait and move on.
Yeah. Do you think we get any other free agent signings before we get to draft day?
It certainly seems pretty quiet, but you never know. I mean, something could pop up. Again, the Chiefs haven't restructured any other contracts yet, so they've only got a little over $7.5 million in cap space. I hear the plenty of smoke around the Cam Jordan. I still don't think that's going to happen, but maybe I could be surprised. They could make a small move as far as just picking up somebody on a minimum salary deal that I don't think would probably move Chiefs fans' needles too much or anything. But hey, there can still be some Drew Tranquil types who have just kind of slid through the cracks so far. I can't say that there's necessarily anybody I'm looking out there and saying, the Chiefs should absolutely go out and get that guy. But like I said, I mean, they still need 4 to 5 guys, I think, new faces on that defensive line, and they've only signed one. So unless they're going to go with 4 undrafted guys to join them or draft picks and just be a super young defensive front behind their starters, it's a possibility. But that's the one space I could see them maybe being in the market and just seeing if there's anybody out there. And, hey, maybe Cam Jordan's the guy. I doubt it, but it's always a possibility.
Let's go back to your point about their needs. Like, where do you think the needs still are? Edges, we all agree on edge.
Edge, tackle, I think are still both needs. Corner, I think is still a need. I think that they at the very least want a bunch of competition, and they're not afraid to keep 5 or 6 corners. And honestly, if they add more corners and you get some guys that can beat out Kevin Knowles, I mean, you've upgraded your roster. So I think it's a position where they still could use some numbers. I'm still not sold that these are the receivers that they're going to go into battle with. So, whether it's draft or free agency, I think they would like some depth there. I would probably be surprised if they added anything along the offensive line. I think they're pretty reasonably happy with their depth, at least as far as the starters that they have, and then guys that are backups who could play for a short period of time if need be. I'm still wondering what they're going to do during OTAs for quarterbacks because, I mean, they're not going to go out and sign a big name or anything, but they could certainly use a veteran arm because I still think it would be crazy if Mahomes is doing anything during OTAs, and you really need 4 arms to facilitate OTAs, so I think they could still use somebody there. I mean, again, they haven't actually signed Kareem Hunt, so they could use some competition at running back as well. It's across the board. I mean, they could definitely use somebody almost everywhere. But to me, it's defensive line, it's corner, it's receiver, maybe safety, maybe linebacker, because I think if you could upgrade your 3rd starter there, I think you'd be happy.
Did you just name every position on the field?
I did not name tight end, oddly enough.
I think they could use a tight end. The guard is the only thing I think they don't need. Guard and center.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think they need a starting tackle. I mean, I think they'd be okay this year with what they have, but I think they would.
I think this year,
upgrading it.
Yeah, I think you got to always look at least a 2-year window. So I definitely think tackles a need, tight ends a need, wideouts a need, running backs a need. You're just kind of all in when you have the expensive quarterback. Like if you found a great quarterback prospect that you had graded as a 2nd rounder and he's sitting there in the 5th and you want to take him, great. I mean, but I'm not going to call quarterback a need. Corner need, yes. Safety need, yes. Linebacker, yes. D tackle, D end, yes. I mean, literally, guard, center, interior O line. Because I like Hunter Norzad. I think he's a pretty good player. And so I think you've got a swing guy in there. Otherwise, there's just about anything that they could draft that is going to help this team. A tight end that could block me would be a good start. A tight end that didn't play quarterback.
That's just a crazy idea, Soren. I mean, come on. If you can't find tight ends that played quarterback or high school basketball, what are you doing?
Exactly. I think there was a movie. I don't know where the scene came from, but someone goes, "What do you want? What do you got?" That's the Chiefs at the draft this year.
Yeah. I think if Felix Anudike-Uzomah is healthy, and they were right about him having something, you feel better about them not having to take a defensive end. I mean, I kind of feel like they feel really good about Ashton Gelati, or they feel like Felix Anudike-Uzomah is going to get past all his injuries, and they might have something there. Because I am kind of surprised where they sit at defensive end right now going into this draft.
Yeah.
They're usually pretty good at feeling like, okay, we got a starter everywhere. We got a legit NFL starter everywhere, and we'll take the best. And I don't know that Ashton Gelati has not proven to be that. And Felix Anudike-Uzomah has not proven that he can even, dress for a game at this point in his career because of all the injuries. But it just, that to me surprises me a little bit that they haven't done something at D end. They must really love, either they know they're going to get what they want at 9, or they love one of those two guys more than we all realize.
There's no doubt. I mean, they do love George Karlaftis more than I think Chiefs fans generally love George Karlaftis. I think they also like Ashton Gelati more than Chiefs fans like Ashton Gelati. We just haven't seen enough of Ashton Gelati yet. So, but I'm with you. I thought that for sure they would have made, at least by this point, another move on the defensive line to get an outside edge rusher. Because right now, I mean, I only think that they've got 2 guys that I would say are certainly making the roster. I mean, if you want to pencil in Felix there as the 3rd, okay, but. And I'm still of the philosophy that if they traded Felix during the draft for an extra pick or something, wouldn't stun me, because I still think that guy could really use a change of scenery, and probably for the Chiefs too, because he's always been a square peg into a round hole, and I don't think he needs the pressure of being the hometown kid anymore. And there are other defenses I think he'd be a much better fit for.
I would have crossed him off because he's a hometown kid. I mean, you got to be LeBron James, right? Like, then it's okay. The 1-1,
yeah,
I'll take him. But we saw with Bubba Starling. I said it when they drafted him. I'm like, there's clearly some flaws because he didn't go in the top, 4 picks before him.
The 4 big ones.
And, now he's got all the pressure of, being the hometown guy and having to get it done with no solace, no place to go for, like, okay, let me recharge my batteries, right? You're the 4th pick, or and Felix Anudike-Uzomah's all NFL first-round picks are great, or in a lot of people's minds are the same. You're a first-round pick, and they expect you to be great. And if you're not great, what do? You go home to where they think you're not great. Like, if you suck for the Commanders and you're having a tough year, you come home and you're still the local hero here. But you can't go home and be the local hero when you're crapping it up for your hometown team.
Yeah, and, I mean, it kind of worked out that way for Mike Pennell. I mean, he spent most of his career away from Kansas City, and then once he got back home to Kansas City, I mean, he was loved, even though he's not a superstar, and he's pointed that he's just been a rotational piece, but he's been really popular in Kansas City, I think, just because, hey, he's come in and he's been part of winning teams. But if Chiefs had drafted him and he had been Mike Pennell, the guy he was most of his career, I mean, he wouldn't be he wouldn't have the reputation that he's got here locally.
You know what Mike Pennell was for Chiefs fans? I'll give you the perfect analogy for what Mike Pennell was for Chiefs fans. You're done with the meal, getting ready to throw all the trash out, start to put it in the bag, and there are 4 more fries. You've already consumed the whole meal. You got everything you wanted that you thought you paid for, and look at this. There are bonus fries. You don't need those fries to be the greatest fries you've ever had. You don't need them to fill you up and nourish you for a full meal. They're just a treat. They're just extra. He's the fries in the bag. It's pretty hard to disappoint when you're the extra free fries in the bag, especially if you didn't order fries and somebody else's fries fell out in the bag.
Yes. Fry
and
tax.
you get them.
Yeah.
That's what Mike Pinnell has been for Chiefs fans.
Gosh, that's such a great scenario.
Thank
I
you.
mean, it
Now I want
makes
fries.
me think of makes me think of you go to a place that has fries and curly Q fries, and you get regular fries, but there's a curly Q that's snuck in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Pinnell is definitely that curly Q fry.
Or a single
Or an
onion ring.
Yes.
Yes.
The
Yes.
onion ring.
Fantastic.
Well done. Well done. Matt, you're the best. We appreciate it. We'll talk next week.
Sounds great, guys. Take care, my friends.
Oftentimes that is true. I don't know what's going on. That's why I call people like Applause Custom Sight and Sound. They know what's going on when it comes to smart home technology. In-home theaters, they're Kansas City's best. Yes, for more than 20 years. They've had the cutting-edge technology, but also the great customer service, right? Like, that's a big part of it. The craftsmanship to install it. Listen, there is nothing worse than seeing a TV on the wall and a wire hanging down. That's one of the beauties of Applause Custom Sight and Sound. Everything looks great. Never any wires showing, nothing ever looks messy. It looks absolutely like artwork. In fact, one of the things I like to do is take people in and show them the little area. We create a little closet area where basically all the hardware is that runs all throughout the house. It's in one little area down in the basement. I take them, I'm like, here's the wiring. It's all color-coded. It's all smooth. Nothing's tangled. Everything is bundled perfectly together and goes off in all directions all over the house. And that makes it easy, right? That looks great. It's kind of a fun thing for me, but you know what it means? It means if we're going to upgrade or we're going to change some things, everything's organized. We don't have to start from scratch. They can come in. That's one of the things we've done over the years. I've had Applause Custom Sight and Sound in my house since 2004, and we're always wanting to change something, add something, do something, and it's been simple every single time. Most recently, we just added security and surveillance. Right now, I can check out what's going on at my home. I get an alert anytime somebody pulls in the driveway or steps up on the front porch, what have you. I'm aware of it. They did that. Took about a day and a half. Super easy. Didn't have to cut into the walls anywhere. Fished a few more wires out to where the cameras went, and now the house is safe and secure. That's Applause Custom Sight and Sound. Kansas City's best for more than 20 years. Find them online at applausetheater.com or call and make your appointment today at 913-498-1183. That's 913-498-1183. Find them on the web at applausetheater.com.
All right, the La Feta Delicatessen, end of the hour answer. Before yesterday, when was the last time that Duke blew a 14-point halftime lead in an NCAA tournament game? Last time Dookie blew a 14-point lead in an NCAA tournament game.
Like as in they lost the game or just they lost the lead?
Yep, they up
So they had
14
to
in the
lose-
second half.
They had to lose the game for this to be.
Yeah, in the second half. 14-point lead in the second half.
Yeah, but
lost
you
the
could,
game.
you know what I'm saying? You could lose
Yeah,
the
yeah,
lead
yeah.
and then get it back.
Yeah.
They lost the game.
They
though?
lost the game. Yeah. How far back you got to go?
I don't think you'd be asking this. Either they did it last year when they got eliminated, or we got to go back to like pre-Coach K. I'm going to go pre-Coach K.
Last year's Final Four.
Nailed it. Kind of.
Against Houston.
Sniffed it out.
While we were in Durham, riding the bus.
Oh, that's right.
We were coming back.
It was,
listening.
yeah.
It was that night as we sat around and celebrated the wedding.
We were in Durham to watch all the Duke fans.
Yes.
And it didn't bother us.
It did not.
I did not have a problem.
I remember at the end we had all gotten off the bus and we were sitting around watching the end of the game on someone's phone.
Yeah, standing outside the hotel, and they were all distraught.
Well, yeah, except for one. Well, I think it was the groom's sister played soccer at Houston.
Oh, that's
So
right.
she was going, yes, running around, having a good time. Everyone was also like, all right, let's go to the bar.
Well, the groom didn't. Did the groom go to Duke?
No, he was in North Carolina.
But did he go to grad school at Duke?
I don't remember. I know because
I think
the bride
he did.
had the Duke stuff, and the groom had the North Carolina colors. He may have done some grad work at Duke.
We went to a wedding where the bride was undergrad Vandy, overgrad Duke,
That'll work.
and the groom was undergrad UNC, grad Duke.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of smart kids in the wedding party.
They were definitely wicked smart.
Yeah, and a few of them. So we just sat in the corner. We didn't talk to them.
I don't know what.
Where are your dumb parents? Get them over here.
Yes, we could always talk.
Try to
them.
talk to you smart kids. No, it's good times.
Was
Good times.
Almost exactly this weekend.
Is the UConn comeback? Where does that rank amongst great tournament occurrences?
The comeback doesn't really stand out historically. The final sequence certainly does.
It is only the third time, I think, where a shot was hit with under a second. A game-winning shot went through with under a second. Elite Eight or later. Is that right? I don't know if this was a time range. It was the Villanova game winner against North Carolina, against Roy's.
Yep.
And I was trying to
was it
memorize
Leitner?
this. No.
I put together a list of ones that were just with the clock expiring. There is a
Because
list.
this one, the clock didn't expire.
Yeah, there is a list. I actually can find this.
I can't remember. I'm trying to remember who the other one was, and I was like, I gotta remember that. I gotta remember that because I couldn't write it down. I can't remember what was going on. And I'm trying to remember who the other one was. And I'm wondering, is it just in the last 30 years or 40 years or since they went to 64 teams? I can't remember if there was a qualifier on it.
It was Sports Basketball Reference has a page. Now I can't remember where it was, but I can find it.
But it was a team that I felt like made sense. It wasn't like, it's like, oh yeah, that one. Like it was a memorable play. So I definitely think it's up there. I mean, it's up there with the Leitner turnaround against Kentucky. There's a lot of buzzer beaters with Cinderellas and hitting shots, and Ali Farouk Manesh.
Ali Farouk Manesh, who will now coach against his head coach in that game in the Pac-12, because Jacobson's going to. I just saw this earlier today. I actually posted about this.
One of the old Mountain West schools.
Jacobson going to Utah State. Farouk Manesh is at Colorado State.
Okay.
So they're going to coach against each other.
That's cool.
That's a pretty neat little round.
But
the fence.
that's about as good as it gets, like as far as a finish to a game. And I think there was great coaching on both sides. Whenever you lose, we talked about this with Matt Cotrell and the manager, like every baseball team is supposed to go 162-0, as long as the manager doesn't screw it up, right? Well, that's not really true, okay? And it's not true of the coaches either. What do you see in how that game ended that is a coach's fault? Like, what did John Shire do wrong?
Not calling timeout maybe before.
Did you scream that? Timeout at the time?
I didn't, but I'm not.
After the fact, he didn't call it, so that must have been the right move. I disagree. Giving UConn time to set up their defense and plan as opposed to a scramble drill, I don't think I want to give them time to set their trap. And we looked it up. There was no replay. The last stoppage came at 27 seconds.
Yeah.
The last timeout. UConn had taken a timeout at 27 seconds. And there had been a couple of trips up and down the court. And so I don't think anybody's already been like, here's how we're going to press. I think kids made themselves big. They got in the way of a passing lane. The pass that Boozer was trying to make was to a wide open guy that was going to end the game.
Yeah.
If it even just doesn't hit their fingers, because they didn't even cleanly block it. They blocked it enough that it didn't. But if you just get a little bit of a finger on it and it just dribbles down a little bit further, then they don't have time to make both passes. Right? If he's got to retreat 10 more feet, they don't have time to make both passes.
We've got Shire on that. If you want to hear that cut now, that's number 12 on the sheet, and also number 10 is interesting too. It's maybe it dovetails into what you're saying. Well, maybe we can hear Hurley later.
All right, let's take a break and then we'll come back.
Yeah.
We'll get it all together and we'll come back. We'll talk about it, what Shire said about that situation. I think it was just a great game with a great finish, and I don't think there has to be a villain every time there is one. We'll hear what John Shire said next here in the program. You're listening to the program here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, talking some college basketball. Said we want to hear from John Shire and Dan Hurley.
John and Dan.
After the game, here's John Shire first. Was asked if he thought about calling a timeout or just holding the ball at the end of the game.
Well, yeah, we just have to secure it, right? I mean, we got it. They had a foul. I was ready for a timeout, and we just got to hold on. And, it's easy to look at that play. I look at every play that happened, especially in that second half. This is not about one play. It's about every play to put us in that position. And that's what you don't want to do, where one play, something can happen. And so for me, look, it's going to be tough, but it's not going to be on one play.
So I don't love his explanation there because you could have called a timeout.
Yeah.
Could have. But you didn't. He said, Yeah, ready to call a timeout. Well, then call it.
And then you see on the view.
You would either call it as the ball goes through to set up what you want to do to get it across, or you're going to play it out.
Yeah.
Or you're going to call it if they get in immediate trouble.
Right. Which they really didn't. They got the ball
which it
in
sounds to me like
easily.
that was his thinking. If we get immediate trouble, then I'll call it.
And if you look at the isolation shot on Shire during that play, he's kind of directing the pass. And when Caden Boozer gets the ball around midcourt, he's telling him pass it. He's not saying hold on to the ball. And it is 10 seconds. So they literally could have just held the I thought it was 8. I checked again. It is still the 10 seconds to get across half court, which they had exactly 10 seconds. If he just hangs onto the ball, they either got to foul him or the clock ends.
It was 10.0.
10-0-0 when they inbounded the ball. So all they had to do was stand there. Even if it was 10.4, great. You turn it over. I mean, or you just fling the ball in the air. I mean, I don't know how much it's. He said there's not any one villain. They played the great press. Guys made the play, and the kid made the shot. That's all there is.
There's a reason to say let's take the time out and remind everybody.
Yeah.
What we got here.
Or while there is at least a stoppage of time while they're shooting the free throws. I mean, they're shooting 2 free throws. You've got 60 seconds at least where you can go, all right, guys, what do we do? I mean, they can't all come over to the bench, but your coaching staff can be saying, hey, here's what we're going to do. They're going to hit these 2 free throws, and we're going to wait here, and this is what we're going to do when we come out of it.
Well, I think that's where you got to be reminding you don't have to get it across half court.
Yeah.
But you still want to be moving the ball. When they're pressing,
sure.
There's somebody open and you want to move the ball. There's nothing more frustrating to me than the guy who holds the ball and waits to get fouled so he can pad his stats.
Yeah.
Instead of moving the ball to the obvious open guy. Boozer was trying to make a smart play.
Yeah.
And
if he throws
UConn
it
made
a couple
great
inches
effort.
taller, one of the Duke kids catches the ball. He probably just holds it, or maybe goes in and throws one down, and they're on to the Final Four.
All right, here's Dan Hurley on why he didn't call a timeout after they got the ball.
Because Duke is so good defensively. It just felt like you're almost, you're watching Alex and seeing, kind of like as Braylon's catching the ball, does he look like he's in some type of a rhythm? Does he look like he's going to kind of drive it? I mean, you're torn right there and you're almost like, and you're just, it's instincts. It's gut instinct. But I think with their size, their length, their ability to switch, everything, it felt like the window where you just got to let March Madness take over.
Yeah, I love that explanation.
I mean,
why give him a shot?
At no point did I always like the scramble drill. Let's they're out of whack. Let's not let them line it up. And I think it's a pretty good explanation because I do think when he got the ball. And I remember rewinding it, and we watched it again at my house. First of all, the UConn kids went defense to offense really quick. There's like 3 of them that all Caravan's trying to get to the 3-point line. There are 2 other guys that immediately get to their toes on the 3-point line. And I'll give the kid, what's his name? We made it. Well, whatever. Anyway, I will give him credit for just kind of sagging.
Mullins.
Yeah, and sagging back and saying, all right, I've got all these guys up there, but if I press forward, I'm just drawing more people to it. So worst case scenario, it comes back to me, and I've got to look, I've got to straight on, It's long. It's longer than I'd like, but it's at least a clean, open look.
Yeah, and he's a shooter.
Just great execution all around, man.
All right, who did Arizona beat in the Elite Eight the last time they went to the Final Four? Brought to you by La Feta Delicatessen.
Second half of the program begins right now with the 2-minute drill. It's brought to you by our friends at Jocelyn's Jewelry. Gary and his great staff, Kansas City's best, voted the #1 jewelry store in Kansas City. If you're looking for a birthday present, how about some of those birthstone rings? They've got hundreds of different birthstone pieces of jewelry for you to choose from. In every birthstone, maybe it's a tennis bracelet, maybe it's some diamond stud earrings. Maybe it's time to buy that engagement ring. They've got almost 1,000 to choose from with the most knowledgeable, friendliest staff you're going to find anywhere around. Why wouldn't you go to the southeast corner of 95th and Antioch and see our buddy Gary Joslin and his great staff at Joslin's Jewelry, voted the #1 jewelry store in Kansas City. Find them online at joslinsjewelry.com. Let's get things started in Milwaukee. Brian D., WTMJ in Milwaukee is there. Brian, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing fabulous. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, tanking. That's what they're saying about the Bucks. Like, what does the NBA think they're going to do, like, with this?
I don't know that I would go as far as to say that the Bucks are tanking, especially because the 7-foot Greek fella that's been injured for a big chunk of the season wanted to play, and he seems to be in some sort of a dispute with the organization about whether or not he can and should be playing. Now, I don't expect him to see him back out there, especially since they were eliminated from postseason contention officially yesterday. And I think the other thing going on is you see other NBA teams tanking way more effectively than the Bucks have, right? I think the Bucks, believe it or not, were actually trying to win some basketball games and get into the play-in tournament. But when you see some of these other bottom feeders losing 15, 16 games in a row, I just don't know what the NBA is going to be able to do to control it other than making sure that their star players are out there every couple of days if they're healthy.
Yeah, but, can you really, first of all, I do find it amazing that, old guys who were, let's be honest, they were in the 70s, were all on coke or, drunk or had no nutrition and all smoked cigarettes at halftime, could play 82 games. And now with all the supplements and nutrition and everything that's there, these guys are just spent.
I agree. I totally agree. I think the league has gotten soft, and I think you think about the viewership issues that the NBA has gone through over the last couple of seasons, both with their All-Star weekend and outside of it. It feels like it's dipped, and it's because of the lack of star power. And when the stars are there and not playing, you've got an even bigger issue. So I definitely think it's something the NBA needs to address, but I don't know that Milwaukee is the worst place that it's happening. All the things I know about Giannis Antetokounmpo is he's maybe the most competitive guy in the league. He wants to play. He's been clamoring to play, and it does feel like the Bucks are holding him back a little bit. So I would be stunned if we saw him again the rest of the way now that they're officially eliminated.
Yeah. By the way, is everybody now ripping the organization for not having already traded him?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, I don't know that the trade value is going to go down whenever they decide to trade him, but it always seemed a little bit like a pipe dream to me, at least, that they were going to be any semblance of a postseason contender. Even if they got into that play-in tournament as the 9 or the 10 seed, they weren't going to do any damage. Even if they got into a first-round series, there was no hope for this Milwaukee Bucks team this year.
Yeah, no, it's ugly, and it does look like they're headed to a complete rebuild. Let's talk about Matt LaFleur. He had comments today talking about being one of only 6 head coaches that got lower than a B on the report card. Is this a real concern, or does the record, calm everyone down?
Well, I don't know that the record has been that good, right? I mean, it's been 3 consecutive years of being a 7 seed, and they're not winning the division. Jordan Love has not yet won a division in his 3 years as the starting quarterback in Green Bay, and the one playoff win that they have was a blowout victory over the Cowboys in Dallas, but immediately thereafter they puked all over their shoes in the divisional round in a game they probably should have won against the 49ers. So I don't know that winning is the protection that Matt LaFleur might think that it is when it comes to these things. And then, the other thing that jumped out to me today from Matt LaFleur's comments was he was asked about Rich Bisaccia departing the Green Bay Packers and basically taking a lateral job with Clemson at the college ranks. He went from special teams coordinator in the NFL to special teams coordinator in college. And LaFleur didn't really have a good reason why that happened, which would seemingly be the first thing you would ask your assistant head coach if he left. So there's a little bit of smoke around Matt LaFleur right now in some of the ways that he's leading the Packers organization.
I mean, they could have just walked on him, right? There was talk that they, that would be what they would do. I mean, now you're married. You've backed the guy.
They did the opposite. They re-upped him, right? They not only re-upped him, they re-upped the general manager, Brian Gutekunst. And I think stability is kind of what they're going for, especially because they have a new president. It's Ed Policy's first year, Carmen Policy's kid, for some of the older school NFL fans that are listening. And, I think he just wanted some stability coming into his time in Green Bay and tenure in Green Bay as the lead guy. But you're right. It was a perfect opportunity this offseason to press the reset button on one or both of those guys if they wanted to, and they chose the stability route instead.
Well, so another year, the Brewers, trade some guys away, let some guys walk, and then they're 3-0. And going to go ahead and slap a big fat contract on another prospect. He's in AAA, and they're talking about giving $50 million to Cooper Pratt.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Brewers we trust, right? Whatever they do, it must be right.
I've told you time and time again, this is the way they operate, right? They trade away players a year too early, even if they have to bite it for a year, and they continue to win baseball games. Now, granted, the first series of the year was against the White Sox, so you can only take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. But I think my big takeaway from the first series they're in is the culture that Pat Murphy has built there still exists. Like, they're down 6 runs or 5 runs in the 8th inning on Sunday afternoon. No problem. We'll just storm back and drop a 6th spot and win the game. And Christian Yelich cranks a moonshot for the lead. It's just the culture that they've built in Milwaukee, in the clubhouse with Pat Murphy leading the way, and how loose it is in there where they don't feel like they're out of any baseball game ever. And then obviously, like you alluded to, the way that they do things, trading away players, signing minor league guys that aren't going to play in the majors for 2 years to $50 million deals so they have them under cost control deals for the foreseeable future. This is the way you have to win if you're in Milwaukee, if the league is going to continue to be constructed like it is, where the Dodgers can, pay $300 million to anybody that they want.
Yep. We'll see. I expect them to keep it going and rolling this year, and hopefully they make a deep run and win everything unless they run into the Royals. I'll be rooting. I'll be rooting for the baseball in the mitt. That's a B and an M.
Yes, I think that's fair, and I hope we get some KC Milwaukee action in October, because that would mean a nice little road trip to meet you guys in person. That'd
you
be
know
a lot
what?
of fun.
That would be fantastic, and it would piss off everybody in the big markets too.
Yes, it would.
We would love it. That would be great. Brian, great stuff as always, buddy. We appreciate it. Have a great week, my friend.
You too. Thank you.
Tennessee.
Chase McCabe in Nashville, Tennessee. 102.5 The Game is next. Chase, how are you, sir?
Soren, I'm doing well. Hope you are as well.
We are. We're doing fine. How is Volunteer Country? Is it Volunteer Nation? I don't know how they wear that logo. How are Vols fans? Let's try that. After just an absolute wipeout, crushing defeat at the hands of Michigan on Sunday.
They are Vols in tears right now. Very upset with the loss to Michigan. And I mean, especially when you watch kind of the first part of that game and you're thinking like, okay, this could actually be a pretty good contest. And then Tennessee couldn't hit a shot. They couldn't hang on to the ball. They kept turning it over. And Michigan just went on an absolute tear and then ended up winning the game by almost 30 to punch their ticket to the Final Four. And so Vols miss out on the Final Four yet once again under Rick Barnes. And I'm not going to be as hard on him as I have been in years past, because I think this team actually overachieved by making it to the Elite Eight, but still a disappointment nonetheless.
Boy, you're not going to be as harsh, but you are going to be harsh. I want to be clear. You said not as harsh.
Well, my thing is, and I've kind of, I guess as I've gotten older, I've come down on this a little bit. I used to be pretty tough on Rick Barnes. It's like, you brought this guy in to get to Final Fours and to win championships. But if you look at the NCAA tournament, and you know this, I think sometimes we lose sight of just how hard it is to win. And some of the great coaches, don't have a ton of Final Four appearances. They don't have a ton of championships. Now, you have your guys like Coach K, and, I think John Calipari probably deserves a little more credit than maybe he gets. I don't know if Kentucky fans want to give him that, but it's just a really hard tournament to win. And so the fact that the Vols are in it every year, and now they've made these runs to the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, it is disappointing not to get to the Final Four, but at the same time, you just look at the competition, and it's only going to get harder with NIL and the portal and some of these teams that, you got to kind of count your blessings that it could be a lot worse. So I think they have something to build on. If Nate Ament comes back and they can keep some of this core together and bring in some other help on the transfer portal, then I think Rick Barnes can take another run at it, and who knows what they can do next year. So that's kind of where I'm at. I guess I've softened up a little bit when it comes to looking at the NCAA tournament, because it's such a tough one to win.
Yeah, it is. There's no doubt about that. And so On behalf of the Barnes family, thanks for easing up. I'll give you that one there. How about
Pass that along for me?
Yeah, how about there in Nashville? Vandy gives an extension to Mark Byington, the head coach. Is this because they thought North Carolina or Kansas could come calling?
Potentially, it's the right move, and it continues to show that Vanderbilt athletics is committed to athletics. And for a long time, a lot of us around here couldn't exactly say that. My dad had a joke all the time as they'd get the check from the SEC and build a new science building. And for a while, that was true. It's not anymore. This is not the same old Vanderbilt, and they have changed that narrative. Where they've given an extension to Clark Lee in football after what he's done the last 2 years, and now they've done it to Mark Byington because they're committed not only to the coach, but they're committed to the program. And they're making that financial investment in these programs. I think you look at what an Indiana did in football this year, it's a prime example of anyone can play the game if they play it right. And we'll see if Vanderbilt ends up doing that long term. I'm not calling for national championships by any means, but it certainly was a good move to extend him, give him that financial commitment, which also probably means they're going to give that same type of financial commitment to bringing in the right players that they can continue to build around. I mean, they have Tyler Tanner is an elite talent that they have, and he's locally grown from Brentwood Academy as well. They want to keep him, and they want to add to it so they can make another run next year.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And why can't Vanderbilt do it? I mean, if Indiana can win in football, why can't Vanderbilt win in football or basketball? They've got plenty of money from alumni. Like, is that the real hidden story here? How much money is coming in from their fan base, from their alumni to fund better talent?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's because they've always had money. I mean, it's an academic institution that it costs a lot of money to go there. So it's not like they're hurting. It was almost a mentor of mine used the phrase selective poverty. It was just where they were spending it. Now they've actually made the commitment to athletics, and you're seeing improvements with the football stadium, with the facilities. They're going to be working on Memorial Gym and doing some upgrades there. They've done it with Hawkins Field with baseball. So they're actually making those commitments financially to athletics that they weren't willing to do before. They could have, but they weren't willing to do it, and therefore you have the alumni that's wanting to jump in and do their part as well because they're actually supporting athletics, not just the university. And so I agree. I mean, I think why not Vanderbilt in this new age of college sports because of the not only the academics that they have, but the financial backing that they're getting as well.
Is anybody else around the SEC? I mean, you talk a lot of SEC football, as well. Obviously, Tennessee being there in the state and everything. But, like, our SEC schools starting to look around and go, oh, hold on a second, especially with the Big Ten now having great success in the basketball tournament as well. The SEC had upped their game, and they were bragging about all their teams last year and everything. But and they won a championship with Florida. I should finish that point there. But like, is there a fear that, guess what, the smart kids can buy their way to championships now? And when you've got a med school like Vanderbilt has, you got a lot of alumni that make a lot of money. Every school's got some millionaires and lots of millionaires and maybe even a couple of billionaires. But it's the fan base that has tons of people who make $1 million a year, right? Like, is everyone else in the SEC a little bit nervous about how much money Vanderbilt might be able to actually pump into this?
Maybe to an extent, but I mean, all the Texas schools are like, we got the billionaire oil, industry and the oil money down here. And like you said, everybody's got one or two rich people, some super rich. I don't think so. I think the biggest thing that's happening in the SEC right now is everybody's finally getting smart and realizing, wait a minute, we're cannibalizing each other. We're beating up on each other. I mean, you've got Paul Feinbaum blaming Nick Saban for beating Georgia a few years ago for the SEC's downfall, and that Georgia, needs to be the one to try and get back, and they can't do it. Well, the competition is a lot tougher now. I mean, we keep going back to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is better. I mean, they just are. Like, they just flipped a 5-star recruit to go from Georgia to them. They had a guy that was a Heisman finalist. So, I mean, it's a different ball game. And the fact that you have in both basketball and football all these SEC schools that are playing an equal playing field, but they're beating up on each other, that's going to be big for the Big Ten and the Big 12 and the ACC and the other conferences because they're kind of taking each other out. I don't really know how you fix that because, I mean, that means they're playing at a high level, but that's a part of it. And so I think it's kind of trying to figure that part out, and that's what's going to happen as you continue to build these super conferences like we've seen over the last few years.
All right, last question. Last question, and that's pick number 4 for the Titans. What's the dream scenario? What do you think is likely to happen?
I think a lot of Titans fans want Jeremiah Love. They, go back to the days of Steve McNair and Eddie George and that 1-2 tandem and, Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry from a few years ago. And they don't necessarily look at it as, it's overspending on a draft pick for a running back. It's just you're giving your quarterback that you're trying to build around a playmaker. And Jeremiah Love can be that playmaker. He can run, he can catch, he can do all those things. And so I think that's kind of the dream scenario for the Titans. I still believe pass rush is king, and they need to address that. I've really, really liked Reuben Bain out of Miami. But I do understand the thought process. If Love's there at 4 and you really, really like him, then why not get another weapon for Cam Ward to use in this offense? I think that's going to be the focus of Mike Morganti. I mean, look what Kansas City did in free agency. They go get the Super Bowl MVP. Why? You didn't have a run game. And even though you got the best quarterback in the league, you still need a run game. So I think that is ultimately, and everything kind of comes back to the fundamentals of football, blocking and tackling. The team that just won the Super Bowl, they didn't have a quarterback that absolutely lit you on fire, but they had a great defense and they had a steady run game. So I think teams kind of look at that of, hey, we need to get back to basics, and I think that's what the Titans are trying to do with some of the moves they made. So ultimately, I believe if he's there at 4, they go Love.
Yeah, all right. Seeing that a lot now in mock drafts. It looks like a likely scenario. Chase McCabe in Nashville. Great stuff as always, buddy. We appreciate it. Have a great week.
Absolutely. You too, Soren.
I've been to Pittsburgh.
Let's talk to Tim Benz, Fox Sports Pittsburgh, 970 on the AM dial. There in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Tim, how are you, buddy?
Sure, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Let's talk Aaron Rodgers. I know you're eager to do it. Come on. Are we going to crap or get off the pot at some point? Didn't they give him a deadline on when he had to make up his mind? Hadn't that come and gone now?
Well, they didn't do it the first time, so I don't know why they do it this time. Mike McCarthy was on the Pat McAfee show today, waxing poetic about how, their relationship was and how great things are right now. And, I also saw that my colleague on Fox Sports Pittsburgh 970, Jerry Dulac, wrote yesterday that Art Rooney II says that it'll happen before the draft. Okay, I'll believe it when I see it. I know they all acted like they knew all along last year that around this time that everything was going to be fine and he was going to show up. Well, no, they didn't. They didn't know because his name wasn't on a piece of paper. And until that happens, you don't know. So they don't know. And I'm not going to accept anything else as an answer. You don't know until he's here. Now, the only thing about it is they just don't have anywhere else to go. That's the convenient thing for them. It's part of the reason, too, why I think they're talking up Will Howard as much as they are, because they, want to make it sound like if Rodgers decides to flake and not show up despite leading them to believe that he will, that they've got a logical place to turn. But I don't think on a veteran team that's been built to try to stay competitive in the AFC, that going to a 6th-round pick who hasn't thrown a pass in the NFL yet is logical. And for that matter, Kirk Cousins isn't logical either.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. What's the dream for the draft? What do Steeler fans want to see them do when it rolls around and they're up on the clock?
Well, my dream is a quarterback, and it has been for a long time. But that's not going to happen in this draft. This is supposed to be the draft after last year's draft, which was not that great for the quarterback position. Everybody's like, well, this is the draft, and now we're saying that about the 2027 selection. So we're just going to keep pushing that hope down the line, I guess. Short of that, if it's not a quarterback, I want to see another wide receiver. I still think that's the position where they're the most starved.
Yeah, I mean, that is that's interesting. I mean, like that would help you get Aaron Rodgers back too, right? If you give him another weapon.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, like they went out and got one wide. I don't think he's not here yet because they don't have wide receiver 3, but they don't have 3 good wide receivers. You know, they have 2. I know that McCarthy likes Pittman a lot. He talked about that again today on the McAfee show too. So, you know, I don't think that's necessarily smoke. I do believe they think they got a good one, but they were so bereft at that position, another one needs to come. But I don't think that's the determining factor for Rodgers. I just think he wants the money to be right, and I think he wants to be 100% sure he actually wants to be here and wants to go through with whatever he didn't like from McCarthy at the end, that he can handle that now.
Are the Steelers kidding themselves? Should they just be ripping it up? I mean, I always say the worst team in the league is not the team with the worst record. It's the one that thinks that they're a contender and they're not, and they're still in like a mediocre place, and they've got to tear it down before they can build it back up. Are the Steelers kidding themselves that they're just a spot or 2 away?
I think so. I mean, that's a really good way to put it. Actually, I might steal that, Soren, if you don't mind.
You can take it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I don't think they're just a quarterback away. In fact, I was talking about that earlier on a different podcast today with a buddy of mine, that there's this theory that it's just get the quarterback and the Steelers will be fine. The other needs that they need to still address in the draft after what was deemed to be, and I agree, a pretty decent free agent attempt this year to round out the roster, there's still other holes and spots to go. Like they have an injury here or there at certain positions. They're still in trouble.
Tell me about the Pittsburgh Pirates and O'Neal Cruz. Talented guy. They move him from short to center, and he can't even catch a ball. Like I had my fantasy baseball weekend, and so we were watching baseball games everywhere all weekend, and I mean it was comedic on what was going on. He seems a little bit apathetic. Where do we sit? Was he just not like playing center field, and he's tanking it? Where does this sit with O'Neal Cruz and the Pirates?
I don't think it's out and out tanking it. I don't think he's happy about being there. I think he prefers to be at shortstop, but he was a nightmare there too. He just doesn't have his head in the game all the time. He's just not a plugged-in baseball player. You know, people keep talking about if you put him at DH full time or if you put him at first base full time, you lose the arm and you lose the legs. Well, the legs can get him into a position to make a play, and the arm can get the ball in fast, but the head is never there in the first place, and that's the biggest problem with him. That's, you know, the one tool that doesn't get talked about enough, and he does not have that in the toolbox.
Is there a belief that he's still going to be a great hitter? Because that's the other thing is, for all the crap that comes with him, this is not a guy that's had some, you know, Ronald Acuna, you know, what was it, 30-70 season here. We're talking about a guy that has all these tools and can do all these things, but like his best year is what, 20 home runs, 38 stolen bases a couple of years ago. He's never had an 800 OPS. Like, is the bat good enough for them to be wasting all this energy?
It's not. The promise and the skill set, you know, the size, the physical makeup is all there, and they're in love with that, and they just don't want to give up on that. But you're exactly right. Like Jake Mangum, who they just got from Tampa, who played in center field in Game 2, he had a higher OPS than O'Neal Cruz did last year, and he's a singles hitter. Like he had an OPS Cruz did of like 676 last year. That's nothing. He strikes out way too much. If it's not a home run, he's not getting on, and that's his biggest problem.
Yeah, it is. You know, I think it's kind of easy right now in the NL. Like, am I wrong? When you look at the NL, I see the Brewers. They really know what they're doing. The Reds have got a pretty good squad together. They're competing. The Cubs have got an expensive team. They're competing. Cardinals are in a rebuild mode. Over in the NL East, the Mets and Phillies spent a lot of money. They should be good. But the Braves have got injuries again to all their starting pitching, and they're kind of just trying to serve two masters and get a little younger but still keep competing. The Nationals and Marlins are at least a year away, I would think. We'll see. I know the Marlins are 3-0 to start. Dodgers, badass, but Padres stripping things down. Diamondbacks, pretty good. Rockies, terrible. Giants, don't see it. Now's the time that you ought to be able to get in there, right?
And they tried by their standards. I mean, they spent a lot more in the offseason, and, you know, that deal to get Brandon Lau also came with two players that helped the team, I think. And They got one pitcher out of the pen in Montgomery, and they got Mangum, so I like that deal. O'Hearn's better than what they had. They got better, and already O'Hearn and Lauer off to good starts, but like the additions that they got, I think with what they had production-wise from the rest of the lineup last year, gets them about 10 games better if you think that Reynolds and Cruz are a bit better than what they were last year. But I'm sort of beyond, to our previous conversation, assuming that O'Neill Cruz is ever going to live up to his physical potential, and I'm beyond assuming that Brian Reynolds is going to rediscover himself and be a perpetual all-star. You might have gotten the best you're going to get out of Reynolds, too. So I just think that they are my prediction for them was 81 wins. It probably takes 85 or 6 to be the last wild card in the NL.
Yeah.
It was 83 last year, but I get what you're saying. That's a little low to presume that'll be the last win total to get you in this year.
Yeah, I don't think the plan can be 83. That's for sure.
Right, exactly.
Right. Maybe it ends up being enough, but the plan's not 83. All right. Well, we always root for the small market teams here, like us. Like see the Pirates and the Brewers, and it's fun watching the Brewers have some success. Always like the big money teams to lose to the little money teams, but it's been a while for the Pirates, no doubt. Great stuff. Tim Benz in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We appreciate it, buddy. Have yourself a great week.
Thanks, Trent. Appreciate it.
considering waiting until the break in this song, which comes right here. All right, the La Feta Delicatessen, end of the hour answer. Who did Arizona beat in the Elite Eight the last time they went to the Final Four?
Ooh.
There was some symmetry between Arizona and Illinois in their previous. It was Illinois, 2001. The Illini coached by Bill Self.
Okay.
The last time the Illini made it was 2005 when they beat Arizona.
Oh,
the
wow.
Illini coached by Bruce Weber.
But Illinois will play Connecticut.
Right. I'm saying in the Elite Eight.
Yes.
Yeah, they didn't beat each other, but the last time each one of these two made it to the Final Four, the team they beat to get to the Final Four was the other school. And the Illinois one in 05 was particularly memorable. The game's out on YouTube. You can look at it. They were down 15 with about 3.5 minutes left and just went on a ridiculous run.
Is that the
Luther Head,
Yeah.
Darren Williams,
D.
and
Brown.
D. Brown trio, James Augustine, Missouri kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were down 75-60. And at one point, they led by 6 in the overtime. So they'd gone on I think it was a 20, would that be 15-6, 21, 25-4 run. They just did. The Luther Head just started hitting threes. They started getting steals, and it was crazy.
Was that Bruce Weber magic is what it was.
It was. They would eventually fall to Roy, Carolina.
By the way, you saw a photo. Who tweeted this out?
I can't remember who it was.
K-State folks.
Yeah, just somebody. It was a picture of the K-State bench in 2007 when Bob Huggins was there, and Huggins is walking in the middle of these two assistants on either side, purple sweater vest, of course. On his right is Frank Martin.
Wait, a purple sweater vest for Huggins?
For Huggins.
Okay.
On his right, looking always well-dressed and looking very serious, Frank Martin. And to his left is Brad Underwood. 3 Final Four coaches and one snapshot of the 2007 K-State basketball coaching staff.
Yeah, and all three, I mean, Bob Huggins had been to a Final Four before he got to K-State, but all three have been to the Final Four since leaving K-State.
Yeah.
K-State managed to keep none of them.
And Frank Martin went there at South Carolina, but had not. I think they hadn't won a tournament game, or hadn't been out of the first round since like '73. Some ridiculous.
Yeah, because even when they went as a 2 seed,
yeah, they
lost.
They lost to Coppin State in '97. Fang Mitchell knocked them off.
Yeah,
it's just a wild picture. It's like, okay,
I mean. Like hindsight's 2020, they did the right thing and kept Frank Martin.
Yep.
But when Frank Martin left, it should have been to Brad Underwood. And if your AD didn't recognize that, the AD should have gone. He was gone a little bit later anyway.
Yeah.
And when Brad Underwood came by Oklahoma State, when he left Stephen F. Austin, you should have been looking at him. But when he's ready to leave Oklahoma State, you should be getting him.
Yeah. Yep. And you hear him. Not only can he build a team, but he's been a delight in the press conferences. The things,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the way he talks about the game, his players, and just kind of self-effacing and sense of humor, thoughtful. I mean, what a great guy to be able to cover, and he clearly can put together a team.
I've talked to him at
That's
the
a big
Final
miss.
Four, and he is very enjoyable, very engaging, clearly knowledgeable about the game of basketball. And, I guess because he was a Frank Martin guy. What was that AD's name?
Curry? Was it John Curry?
John Curry. John Curry just wasn't going to hire him.
Ew.
But, yeah, the ones you'd like back, huh, Cat fans?
That was a whiff.
You got to bring this up. What are you going to tell us about it? Sorry.
And there was talk, could Brad Underwood come back? He ain't coming back now.
Well, Tim Fitzgerald said that he gets like 50% of his salary for life as like a pension as far as being an Illinois employee. Now, I would think that that's just 50% of what he gets from the university, because the athletic department, I'm sure, is a it's like they all turn them into these nonprofit companies that run the athletics for the university. And so the bulk of his salary would come from that. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that does count, and he's going to get a big bunch of money the rest of the way. I would have made him tell me no if I were K-State.
Speaking of coaching, the coaching carousel, we still haven't heard from a week
Bill
later.
Self.
Interesting.
Sooner the better. Got to know by, Tuesday after the championship game?
I think so. And they're the number one recruit, Tyron Stokes, still talking about him in Kentucky, KU in Kentucky, knocking it around. Do you think he's waiting for some clarification?
Maybe.
Be an easy connection. Those dots wouldn't be too far apart, but
yeah,
we don't know what he's heard, but he's not even. I'm getting close. What else do you need to know other than who's going to be there?
Well, which I think is a huge thing. I don't mind taking his time and waiting.
I didn't mean to make it seem like I was putting on him.
Also, people are connecting dots that because Tommy Lloyd's kid, who plays at Arizona, I think is a walk-on, is liking. He liked an Instagram post or a tweet that said Tommy Lloyd to North Carolina. People are taking that to mean that he's taking the Carolina job.
Did I read someone that Carolina said they won't make their decision until after the Final Four, so they're just waiting for him to get done?
Yeah. I mean,
I sure would.
But that would be one of the guys you'd want to call if you're Kansas, right?
Yep.
Yeah, listen, Bill Self's deciding whether or not he's going to continue his career. It's a big decision. I'm not faulting Bill Self.
No.
But if you're Kansas, you're chomping at the bit to try to get in front of some people.
It's certainly not ideal. And it'd be weird. I mean, I can't remember the last time, because Arizona, and they're not even favored in this game, much less favored, but they're certainly on the doorstep of potentially a national championship. When was the last time you saw a team win a national championship and go and then have the head coach go somewhere else where you can do what? It's a hard pull to get someone off a team that's not only in the Final Four but might win a national title.
Look, if you want to try to go get Mark Byington away from Vanderbilt, I think you can do it, but it now is going to cost you more.
Yeah, you could have.
I think you still can. It's just what the buyout is.
Even with the
the buyout got to be more.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's costing money if you got some other guys you want to get to. It's costing you money as they all get signed up, and these programs are like, all right, we feel good about him for the next couple of years. It'll be 2 years before his buyout's this low, or our buyout of him is this low, but we think we're in good shape. Let's at least make sure we get a bigger check going out the door. And so you're going to have to pay more if that's where you would try. I mean, I don't know where Kansas would want to go.
And people have knocked Dusty May's name around, which they should, but boy, that's what do you have to do to get him away from Michigan? The kind of money they've got.
You'd have to, and I don't even know that you can do it right now, but seemingly you'd have to guarantee a giant amount for a roster.
Yeah.
In addition to paying him a ton of money.
And can you do that? Can you do what Michigan does in that regard? I don't know that Kansas can put that together.
Michigan's got, we talk about the Vanderbilt alumni being a lot of doctors and lawyers and, smart folks making lots of money. There's plenty of Michigan ones.
Yeah, and they aren't putting money into a football stadium, are they? Well, they might put stuff, but they're not.
They're probably always putting upkeep on it, but no, they're not building a whole
major.
To your point.
So, but he seems like he's going to be there for a while.
Can you? That's the thing is, I think if you're Kansas, listen. For all we know, right now they're maneuvering back room on guys just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Can Travis Goff, can Kansas basketball afford to not be good, or is now more than ever the reason why you have to, go make sure you're putting everything in line if Bill Self goes away? Because with football, with the stadium not generating revenue, you need basketball humming.
Yes, and getting basketball humming got tougher when Arizona and Houston arrived. And so if KU basketball isn't, if it's close to up to the snuff it's been, you're still going to be in a dogfight for conference titles. If they slip, you're a secondary program then, to some extent, at least compared to what they were.
They won't be down long.
No.
The powers that be.
Yeah.
The powers that be will, if they start losing, they will circle the wagons quickly, and there'll be a bunch of money thrown at the problem. Doesn't mean you'll get it right, but I have pretty good confidence that Travis Goff will maneuver things correctly.
Same.
but can't do it, like you said, till Bill Self says.
And you can't say, Bill, hello, tick-tock. I mean, you really can't do that. Although the temptation may be there.
Ooh, it is. It's rough. It's a rough spot right now.
Yep.
So when do you think we get an answer?
Before the end of this week. I think before the teams arrive. Well, there's almost a part where if he's going to stay, maybe that. I keep trying to figure out: is it more likely that if you wait another week, if he says, "Hey, I'm just kind of making sure," do you just say, "All right, well, I'll let you guys know. I'm probably going to be back. We'll make an announcement after the Final Four, but I'm not going anywhere." Has he told someone that? Or
I would think I would bet on it being sooner. Like I'd bet on this Tuesday over next Tuesday, and I'd take every day closer to this Tuesday, tomorrow, over that one. Like I think it's coming.
Yeah, sometime within the next 4 days.
Yeah, I mean I don't think he's going to drag it out.
No,
I am kind of intrigued by. I mean I do feel like the longer it goes, the more likely he's staying. Correct?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's.
That may not prove to be true, but that's just what it feels like.
Right.
You just want to make sure you're back. Like, if you were done, you're done. You're out. But then again, I don't know. Maybe there's a whole battery of tests, and it takes 5 days to get the results.
Although I'd bet he probably can get them faster than you and I can from our doctor.
What? What?
My guess is that the head coach of the basketball team that is at Kansas, University of Kansas, can probably get quick turnaround times.
Yeah, probably. You're probably right.
Sorry, Bill, we can't. Sorry, Mr. Self, we can't fit you in this week. Oh, shucks.
Yeah.
Dadgum.
We'll take a break. You're in the program.
I dig it because this sounds like the song could have been done in 1966 or this week.
How did Wagler not end up with one of the local schools?
Excellent question. Excellent question.
He was fantastic.
Plays didn't play like a freshman. He's poised. He's got the whole.
Who got him in our player pool?
I think it was you.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
That's right. But how am I doing?
Well.
Okay.
Well.
It's good.
In fact, both Jason Anderson and myself have congratulated you.
There will be no congratulations. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to jinx me.
I see. So you want to talk up how good your team is.
That's
you
right.
You don't want to jinx it.
I don't want congratulations, but I do want accolades. Yes. I am trolling for compliments.
I think you're more likely to win by 100 than you are to lose. You not only have guys, you've got guys at the top that are still playing in multiple, which is kind of the key. I mean, it's to get people that were going to advance, but not just get guys who advance at the bottom, because the benches often don't. This guy scores 6 points a game for this team. Not in the tournament, they don't.
Yeah,
because there's not garbage time in the Elite Eight, generally speaking. Although Michigan probably had some garbage time at the end of that game.
Well, Darius Acuff was a big part of my success, but you neglected, even though he's the tournament high scorer still, you neglected to put him on the high scoring list.
He's not. He's no longer the high scorer.
Isn't he?
No,
he had 88.
He did, but somebody else has 90.
Who has 90? You lie.
I don't lie. I knocked him out once he was disqualified from winning. I think whoever has 90 is out as well. Cameron Boozer.
Okay.
He has 90. But he's done.
Where's Wagler? I still got a shot with him for the high scorer,
let's
too.
see, Wagler
we pay first, second, third, and whoever has the player that scores the most points.
He's at 70. Right now, second place among there's two players who have well over 80 that are active. Terrace Reed has 87, and Yaxel Lendeborg has 84. Yax.
Okay. So I got a shot.
Yeah, he's got to go off, though, because you're 17 behind Reed.
So. Well, I need him to play two.
Yeah.
And Reed not. Would be a good start.
that would be helpful.
Yeah, that would help me a long way through there.
Knock out UConn this week behind 24 from Wagler, and then have Michigan get upset by Arizona, which ain't crazy. The spreads are 1.5 in each game.
Yeah,
and Illinois is favored, as is.
They're basically coin flips in both.
Yeah.
Now I will say this: the Arizona-Michigan winner is going to be favored by what in the championship game? Like I've been waiting. I haven't heard it yet. Have you heard anyone say that the national championship game is Arizona-Michigan?
Not yet. I've heard anyone say it, but I mean, I haven't been listening as closely. Somebody probably has said that. I mean, there's no way there's no way someone hasn't said that somewhere.
Because I think it may very well be the case, but I don't know. Illinois looks pretty good to me. Like I love the variety of offensive weapons that Illinois has. Everybody that's out there scores a different way.
And they all play defense, too. That's the amazing thing.
They defend, but they're all aggressive with the ball. They will all take it right at you.
Yep. From different angles. There's a lot to like. We may look back at this team and go, how were they a 3 seed? Because they're playing the Big Ten. There's just other good teams. There was another 2 seed that was in the Elite Eight. Michigan's obviously a heavy. They've been fantastic. The only thing they don't do well is shoot free throws. They really haven't had to worry about that as much. But they will D you up as well. That's the thing that's kind of lost in the shuffle with how good they can be on offense is how good they can be in half-court defense.
Let me ask you a question.
There's a reason they're favored over UConn.
Yeah.
As a 3.
Michigan dominating Tennessee. And Michigan became, the first team since 05 UConn to open the tournament with 4 straight 90-point games.
Mm-hmm.
Is Michigan just definitively the best team?
I don't know. Arizona seemed. I mean, they kind of seemed like they were in a rock fight for after a while. They just went, see ya. And they've got so many weapons on offense, and they don't need the 3-pointer to score a lot. That's the thing that scares me. If I was playing them, we'll just lock down around the perimeter. Nope. They had 30 or 90 points inside, or 60 points inside the paint, and when they beat Alabama, another 30 at the free throw line. So no matter what you try to do against them, they can counter it. So
did everybody fall asleep at the wheel with Dusty May?
May have. And it's
from
not
Florida
just,
Atlantic to Michigan,
Yeah.
it seems like there should have been like a way station somewhere in there at like a pit.
Yeah,
You
because they were a last second shot away from being bounced in the first round the year they went to the Final Four. I can't think of who they were playing in 23.
You mean Florida Atlantic?
Yeah,
Yeah.
when they were, it was Memphis. They were playing Memphis in the first round, and not in a 9-8 game, and they were the 9, and they were down, and they had a last second shot to advance. Dusty May's not in Michigan if that shot doesn't go down. Yet he's proven his worth.
At Florida Atlantic, he finished tied for in the Conference USA, tied for ninth, fourth, tied for second, first, and then second his last year. So I will give Michigan some credit. I mean, he had 3 seconds or better in his league, which is one of the things we talk about. It can't just be your tournament run. He had a Final Four run there too. But you have to show that you can consistently win in your league, because you're going to have to consistently win in a tougher league now.
Yeah.
So if you're not winning league, he clearly got better. But I will give them credit. Like, I don't remember everybody being like, "Whoa, my God!" But like, if you're a program out there and you were looking for a coach and you didn't go get this guy, because he didn't get it off his Final Four run. Now, part of that's because some schools, there's a little bit of basketball that hires based upon, well, we can't wait because we got to put together a staff and get it all done and all that kind of stuff. But yeah,
it's up and running, and they got the finances, and he can put them together. Because that team, unlike Michigan State, that team is entirely made up almost of guys from other schools.
Yeah.
I mean, only one of their top 5 guys began at Michigan.
He knows how to put a team together. See, his kid scored his first points, and he sat there all stoic and stone-faced.
That was pretty cool.
The rest of the bench was going wild, but
he's like,
he'd never scored a point
that was
for Michigan.
Awesome.
And
there's some really good individual moments like that in this tournament so far, and the best is still yet to come.
Yeah. All right, we will take a break. When we come back, Seth Kaiser still to come. We'll get you the things you need to know. Wrap things up with the kicker, but talk some more Chiefs football. Get Seth's thoughts on the draft and free agency coming up in the next hour.
All right, how many NCAA tournament games have there been between 35-win teams? Brought to you by La Feta Delicatessen.
Fourth quarter of the program begins right now as we finish strong here on a Monday. Still to come, we'll get you the kicker to wrap things up. We will bring you some Seth Kaiser. Right now, though, we give you the things you need to know.
Now how much would you pay? Wait, there's more.
There's still more. There's still
Seth Kaiser makes
more.
Slices and dices and makes julienne fries.
Okay. Let's get things going with some of the conversation coming from around the NCAA tournament. We'll first give you Dan Hurley at the mic, the head coach of the Connecticut Huskies, after an incredible come-from-behind win, said it fit the story of their year.
You know, the story was just that game was a reflection on the season. It's been a season where we've been dealt with injuries to key players at critical points of the year that we've had to overcome. And we've had to show a lot of fortitude and resilience and just kind of claw our way through the season. And just the game was a microcosm of that. Just we fought, we clawed, put ourselves in position to take advantage of a mistake that they made. And, you know, one of the most brilliant shooters that you'll ever see shoot a basketball, you know, made an incredible, legendary March shot.
It did look like, I mean, it's... You didn't know from that distance, but when it went out of his hand, didn't you think that's going down?
Yes.
It just looked so clean.
I thought
they're in trouble.
It did. It was still a jump shot. He did lean forward a little bit more to give it a little more push and to give a little bit more distance on it. This is my recollection. I haven't sat and watched it a bunch of times. My recollection is he didn't just elevate straight up. He kind of leaned into it to make sure that the ball was, going to travel. But I was like, oh, because I was rooting for Duke.
Same.
One, I wanted to get all 4 Final Fours right, and I don't like Connecticut. I'm no big Duke fan, but I really don't like Connecticut. So I was like, oh, that's good. That's right in your face. In your face.
Nothing. Swish from whatever that was, 30.
Yeah.
At least 30.
But it ended up being a great college basketball game.
Yeah.
And it's 2 heavyweight programs, 2 blue bloods.
And a reversal of fortune from these 2 schools who 36 years ago, or 36, 1990 Elite Eight, they're at the Meadowlands. UConn is up. Now, this is 2 games after UConn hit the crazy shot to beat Clemson, I think. Tate George caught the pass from Scott Burrell, hit the turnaround. Then they're up 1 at the end against Duke, and no one guards the inbounder, who was Christian Laettner, who was just a sophomore at that time, and he hits the shot to knock out the Huskies, keep them from going to their first Final Four ever. And it took 36 years, but UConn got him back.
Well, and now I think Caravan has got
17.
17.
He ties Laettner and Hurley.
Is he tied? Somebody told me Laettner has 19. No,
they might, but the thing I saw last week was after they won that his 16 was 1 shy of Laettner and Hurley, who had 17.
So if they win it all,
yes,
he'll set a new record.
Or if they just win the first one,
he'll tie it.
Yesterday was number 17. That's what I read.
So you're saying they had 17, so now he is tied?
Yeah, last week I saw something last week that said with their win to get them to the Elite Eight that he had. That was number 16. He needed 1 more to tie.
Okay. A lot of people would have called a timeout there, right? When Connecticut gets the ball back. Oh, let's get a timeout. Let's set a play. Dan Hurley did not. He explained why.
Because Duke is so good defensively, it just felt like you're almost, you're watching Alex and seeing, kind of like as Braylon's catching the ball, does he look like he's in some type of a rhythm? Does he look like he's going to kind of drive it? You're torn right there, and you're almost like, and you're just, it's instincts. It's gut instinct. But I think with their size, their length, their ability to switch everything, it felt like the window where you just got to let March Madness take over.
All right. I don't know that we need to hold that. I wouldn't mind it because, no, it's just gut instinct. Because I guarantee you there's going to be a time where he's like, well, you have to call the timeout. Or you don't call a timeout. Or right there, like, He basically just told you it's just instinct. You just got to react, right? Like, I don't want to hear him barking at somebody about a question that's like, so is that just instinct? No, we put time into this.
Right.
You know, we prepare, we've run plays. You know how many times we've run? Like, I want to make sure, he's on the record, it's just instinct right there. Okay. All right, let's see if it ends up being the same. The other side, John Shire, and his Duke Blue Devils lose. He struggled to summarize what happened.
It's could not be more disappointed and feeling for our guys at the same time of, just trying to process what happened. I don't have the words. I'm incredibly sorry for these guys that they got to go through this. This is on us. We're going to be in this together. And the year that this guy's had has been absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I don't have words other than just how proud I am of these guys and how disappointed we are.
All right, how about the timeout strategy for him? He was asked if he thought about calling a timeout or maybe just holding the ball.
Well, yeah, we just have to secure it, right? I mean, we got it. They had a foul. I was ready for a timeout, and we just got to hold on. And, it's easy to look at that play. I look at every play that happened, especially in that second half. This is not about one play. It's about every play to put us in that position, and that's what you don't want to do, where one play something can happen. And so for me, look, it's going to be tough, but it's not going to be on one play.
I assume he's talking about, ready to take the timeout, like if we get in the corner, if we're in trouble, then I'm going to take the timeout. Does not sound at all like he had any thought of taking a timeout to try to design something to get,
no,
past half court. He also didn't mention that there were 10 seconds. They clearly are trying to get across half court, which you want guys across half court because you want to stretch the defense. And if he just throws it a little bit higher.
Yes, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, he's hailed as the hero because he got a double team at half court, and he managed to get the pass over the two guys to an open player, and they're going to the Final Four.
All right, it was one of the classic endings of all time. We thought we'd give you a little taste of the calls, the different calls that came your way here. First of all is the CBS television call, Ian Eagle and Bill Rafferty.
Get it into Boozer, back for Saar, ahead, Boozer, that ball deflected and stolen by Mullins. Caravan, 2 seconds, Mullins tosses it up. Oh! It's good! We're point 3! UConn goes in front! Utterly impossible!
Gives it some time to breathe, by the way. Nice job there by Raf, giving it some time to breathe, and then utterly impossible.
Although I think, based on the little announcer cam, he needed some time to breathe.
Yeah,
that was amazing. The shot, the camera view is out there of Jalen Suggs half court.
That's the other one. That's the other one that came Elite Eight or later. Yeah, was Jalen Suggs and Gonzaga.
And but it was fantastic.
That one, and then Villanova over North Carolina in the national championship game.
Yep.
Anyway, I interrupted you. Go ahead. So the camera had the view of what now?
Of Raftery, and it looked like he was about to. He couldn't speak for a second, so I think he needed time to breathe as well as letting the call breathe. And Ian Eagle's so good. I mean, he was terrific in that moment. He may have been a big Jim Nance fan. I was too. He's terrific in that spot.
Oh, he does a great job.
He had the opportunity and he nailed it.
I would like to have heard Kevin Harlan's call on it.
Oh, yeah. I think we all would have. There's no call I wouldn't rather hear Kevin Harlan's version of it.
All right, how about Westwood 1? Here's Scott Graham's call.
Saar gets it into Cam Boozer. Boozer back to Saar. Now ahead to Boozer, and UConn got a steal. Caravan for Mullins. Long three. He got it. Oh, he got it. He hit it. He hit the long three-pointer from the logo with 0.3 of a second left to go. I don't believe it.
That's a guy you usually hear as a studio host on Westwood One, their NFL. Scott Graham is, but he's also a fine play-by-play man. That's how it sounded, by the way, on 810 WHB yesterday.
Yes. All right, let's hear UConn. This is the winning call. Mike Crispino on the Huskies Radio Network.
Boozer, they double him. Back to Saar. Now ahead to Caden Boozer. And a steal. Mullins gets it. It's Caravan to Mullins. Long-range three. Oh! It went in! Mullins delivers. Bedlam.
Almost lost his voice. Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
And then there's the sad.
And then there's the
Then
other
there's
side.
sadness.
And here is David Shoemate on the Blue Devils Radio Network.
Get it in. They do for Boozer. Bobbled it. Back for Saar. Needs to get rid of it. Does for Caden. 7 seconds. Try to throw it ahead. Deflected. Stolen by Connecticut. 2 seconds. It's Mullins up top for the win. Oh, he hit it. With 0.3 of a second to go.
Oh, he
hit it.
All right, so now you've got on here Duke-UConn combo call.
Yes.
Now, what is this?
I took the two calls of Duke and UConn, and I lined them up time-wise where they're at the same time, just to kind of hear. And the first part of it's kind of just crosstalk, but you know right away when the moment happens.
All right, so here they are being played consecutively, so you can hear the difference in tone and temperament.
They're playing it at the same time.
Yeah. They're going. They're playing consecutively. Or not consecutively. Excuse me. At the same time.
Yeah.
And so you'll hear when one goes up and one comes down.
Bobbled it. Back for Saar. Needs to get rid of it. Does for Caden. 7 seconds. Try to throw it ahead. Deflected. Stolen by Connecticut. 2 seconds. It's Mullins up top for the win. Oh, he hit it. With 0.3 of a second to go.
Hit it. Oh! I just love I did this once before, and I can't remember what the call was, but it's just to hear. If you were
In real time.
If you were sitting between those two guys, that's what you would have heard in your left and right ear. Pretty cool.
Very cool.
I mean, I said it earlier. This has been an amazing tournament, and almost every way you could imagine, with some crazy upsets. You know, the Cinderella may be dead, but the games have been incredibly compelling, and it looks like we're going to have an all-time game on Saturday night, maybe a couple. The idea that we've seen what we've seen, and we maybe haven't seen the best moment yet, is one of the things that draws you to sports. I think back to the 21 divisional playoffs. That was Cincinnati knocked off Tennessee in overtime. After getting the pick, they got a last-second field goal. That night, Packers and 49ers were playing in Green Bay, and the Niners got a block punt to set up a game-winning field goal on the last play of the game. The next day, the Rams blow a 14-point lead. The Bucks come back and tie it. The Rams hit a long pass to win that game on a field goal at the gun. And then the Chiefs and Bills played the 13-second game. So you'd seen all those three games, and the NFL's like, you ain't seen nothing yet. My hope is that that's what the Final Four gives us. Sometimes they don't, but it's sure set up to be an amazing weekend with some really compelling storylines.
1.5 point spreads make you think that, we at least we're not looking at 8.5 and 10.5. We've got, it looks like it's going to be pretty tight.
And in one case, it's the lower seeded team that's favored.
All right, here let's give you a little bit of Matt Miller. He's got a new 7-round mock draft. We're not going to take you through all 7 rounds, but the very latest. At number 9, he has Reuben Bain going to the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, what's of note is he's got David Bailey 8 to the Saints, who'd kind of settled in a little bit higher up there. He's got.
And that's the lowest I've seen David Bailey in a while.
Yeah,
Mansour
Moore, or Mansour Delane,
Mm-hmm.
the corner from LSU. He's got going 7 to the Commanders. Carnell Tate, even with the slow 40 time, the wide receiver from Ohio State, he's got going 6 to the Browns. Caleb Downs, safety, Ohio State, going 5 to the Giants. He's got Jeremiah Love, 4 to the Titans, which is something we heard a little bit earlier from Nashville on the drill. Chase McCabe saying that's what was the dream right now of Titan fans. Francis Mauigoa, offensive tackle from Miami, 3 to Arizona. Arvell Reese, edge from Ohio State, if you believe he's an edge, going 2 to the Jets, and of course Mendoza, number 1. So that's how Reuben Bain ended up being there for the Chiefs at 9.
And the one guy I didn't have right here that was the offensive lineman that was kind of shooting up the list. He's started to fall again on this one. The kid from, was it Georgia?
Georgia, yeah. Spencer Fano is next at 13. Monroe Freeling, he has
Yeah.
at 17.
Yeah.
So not making it to the Chiefs' next pick. By the way, we'll go down, give you the first few rounds for the Chiefs at 29. The Chiefs take Avion Terrell, cornerback Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
So
First time
defense.
I've seen his name in a mock draft.
At 40, Jeremy Bernard, wide receiver, Alabama. By the way,
decent size, 6'1", 204, I think I saw.
Do you like the spelling?
Yeah, it looks like Jeremy.
Yeah.
Or Gurmy.
Yeah, it does. So, all right. That's what he's got for the Chiefs in those first few picks. We'll take a break. We'll talk more about the Chiefs with Seth Kaiser next. All right, listen up. Beautiful weather means getting outside, right? Do you have a screened-in porch to enjoy you some dinner? Maybe put a TV up and watch the games. How about a deck, a patio? If not, call All Weather Decks. Cass and his team are absolutely Kansas City's best. You can find them online at allweatherdecks.net. See photos of finished projects. You'll see the great caliber of work that they do. 24-time winner of the Angie Super Service Award, A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. They build outdoor living spaces better than anybody in Kansas City. And they work all over the metro. That makes them unique as well. A lot of companies only work over here in Overland Park, or we only work out here in Blue Springs. They work the entire metro. Multiple crews mean they can work all over the metro. They'll start your project sooner. They're only 6 or 7 weeks away from starting your project. And they will finish it faster. They send the crew. They start it, finish it, and build it better. That's the A+ rating. Find them online right now at allweatherdecks.net. That's allweatherdecks.net, and relax.